Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Ryan from at 80s Cinemas and 90s Cinemas. You're listening to Timeline. I'm here with my cousin Joe. We have a huge show for you today. We are covering what, in my opinion and my cousin's opinion, is the best vampire film of all time.
And it's actually my favorite movie of all time.
The Lost Boys. And I have been so stoked about this all week. We've been promoting it heavily.
Yep.
With the different clips and the different trailers. Yep. So I am just so excited about this. Dude,
without further ado, we are going to give you The Lost Boys. So we are going to run the intro and then let's get started. What's not to love about the 80s and 90s? We had the best music, movies, toys, video games, wrestling, you name it. We had the best 2 decades of all time.
California.
I'm Ryan Aviles, owner of at 80 Cinemas and 90 Cinemas on Instagram. Hop into my DeLorean. Buckle up. You're listening to Timeline.
Come with me if you want to live.
Whoa, this is heavy.
It's Chicago!
Why are you going to the airport? Flying somewhere?
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horn.
Listen, you smell something?
They're only noodles, Michael.
And what you gonna do when Hulkamania destroy you?
So, dude, this whole week we have been talking about covering this show, and after watching it, and I actually watched it 3 times this week.
You did? I didn't get a chance to watch it at all, but I've seen it probably 1,000 times in my life. So
yeah, I watched it last night.
Yeah.
My girl came over and we were just chilling. She was doing her TikTok thing and watching her fucking videos, and I was like, you know what? Let me put on Lost Boys again because I just love it, and I just wanted to watch it again.
Yeah.
And now that I'm an adult and I actually have the balls, and I don't have to be scared like I was when I was a kid, I can actually enjoy it.
I remember yelling at you all the time, like, what are you covering your eyes for? It's not even scary. And you'd be hiding behind a fucking pillow.
But I just think about the Lost Boys, and man, it's just so many memories.
It's such a huge part of me growing up, and becoming a teenager, because I wasn't scared of the movie. I was introduced to horror movies pretty early on in my life, so I think this wasn't scary for me. It might have been like you were a little scared of it, but you weren't really used to horror movies anyway. But growing up, I remember I wanted to be like them. And I thought,
because they were so badass.
Yeah, dude. And Kiefer Sutherland was so fucking he was awesome. He was, and just like in Stand By Me, where he was like a leader and he was a tough guy, and you bought that. I think he did such a good job in the movie. And I always wanted to be like him. I wanted to have a motorcycle. I had my hair. I had the mullet like him. I had my mom frosted my hair. So I had the bleach blonde, hair also. And everything about him was the fucking coolest shit in the world,
I saw an interview with Kiefer Sutherland recently, how he mentions the person that was interviewing him basically says to him, you have kind of the hair is it bleach blonde or is it? He was like, actually it's white, but because of the way it came out, it had a hint of yellow, and he said that he didn't like the way he had really long hair. He didn't like the way it looked. He said he looked like a wrestler, and he said so they went back, and Joel Schumacher said to him, listen, you got to do something with it. I don't know what you're going to do.
Because the other guys in the group had long hair.
Right. So he was like, but we want you to be different because you're the leader.
They set them apart, yeah.
So he went into the makeup and hair trailer, and they just cut the sides.
So they mulleted him.
Yeah, and he said
it.
he was like, I think for sure that I started the mullet.
Well, Marco had a mullet too, but he had a badass long fucking mullet.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was.
I don't know either, but that was what it was.
I don't know what that was. It was like
that was a Joe Dirt, a curly Joe Dirt mullet.
It was just like a fucking mess on top of his head.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I remember from the movie. I just always wanted to be like them, and I tried to be I didn't try to be a tough guy or anything, but I think trying to act like that kind of gave me confidence growing up, being a little kid and stuff like that. And a lot of my friends at the time, everyone was bigger than me. I had a growth spurt, and all of a sudden I got big and everything, but I wasn't big as a kid.
Yeah, but you didn't need to have size to be so cool.
No, that's what I mean. So, but to me, I trying to act like that, just try to be cool and try to be a leader and stuff. And I just always took that cue from wanting to be like David in Lost Boys.
Yeah, it was just, that whole movie just represented cool.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't know what cool was, take a look at the fucking Lost Boys.
Well, it was cool for a lot of reasons because of the stuff, the way the guys acted and stuff like that. But the leather jackets, and even Sam wore like really cool. Corey Haim in the movie wore like really fashionable clothing. Like he was a lot because they came from Arizona. Right?
You look at his wardrobe throughout that fucking movie.
No, I know, but I'm saying like it reeked 80s. It was so fucking 80s the way he dressed. It was like, kind of Miami Vice-ish kind of weird shit.
With the long fucking coat.
With the long coats
like
and the
bed
collars.
sheet.
Yeah. But it was quintessential 80s style, I think. But also from that, the movie was really stylistic. And I think one of the points that Joel Schumacher wanted to make about the movie was he wanted it to be stylish. He wanted it to be sexy. He wanted it to have all that. He wanted it to be young and I think he did a good job. They did a good job making that happen in the movie. They had a lot of like hot young actors at the time, a couple of no names, up and comers, things like that. And
I think the only one that was known was Kiefer Sutherland. Am I correct? Well, actually, Jamie Gertz too, because Jamie Gertz did a few movies before that.
Ed
too.
Herman, Diane Wiest was just in Hannah and Her Sister. She won an Academy Award for that movie. Grandpa, I don't remember the guy's name, but I think he was not to me, but I think he was a well-known person. He might have been in some stuff, but the two Coreys were obviously well-known, and that I think. They had enough well-known people in the movie to be something. And Jason Patric was in Solar Babies with Jamie Gertz, actually. So he was pretty popular.
I just realized something. This is the third episode and the third movie with fucking Corey Feldman.
You're right.
Yeah, because we did the Goonies.
Dude, he was all over the 80s, though. It's hard
and obviously the early 90s.
It's hard to do a movie without mentioning Corey Feldman, and he's in so many things. So yeah,
I just realized, like,
that's
holy
cool.
shit.
Wow, that's a good connection. See, that could have been like a trivia question for like a giveaway or something.
That would have been
cool. Which
cool.
actor was involved in all three of our first podcasts, and you could have gave away like a fucking t-shirt or something.
Fucking Corey Feldman.
Yeah. Kiefer Sutherland, back to him. It was only his second movie done in America, because he did other movies before, but he was from Canada. He was an actor there because obviously you know who his father is, Donald Sutherland, and his half-brother was in the sequel. Angus was in the sequel.
Named after a fucking steak.
Yeah, but anyway, but he's from Canada, and he did a bunch of things in Canada first. And Stand By Me, I think, was his first American movie. And then Lost Boys was right after Stand By Me. He did, this was his second. So,
because Stand By Me was average. Yeah, Stand By Me was in '86.
Yeah, and then
Lost Boys was
right after that. Exactly. Yeah. And you know what's funny? Like today, when you put the thing on your page about the Stand By Me, and we were talking about that earlier. I was looking at Kiefer in the movie and thinking how similar to David is Ace in the movie, because he controls a group. And imagine if like David was really old in Lost Boys and he was from the 50s and David is actually Ace.
Yes.
How fucking cool would that be? Like, I was just thinking about that.
You could do so many connections.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, the new show that's on by Stephen King, what's that called?
Castle Rock?
Yes. How they did connections to all his movies and stuff. If they branched out, like you just said with Ace
Stand By Me.
Yeah, and then like
what could be part of the show.
That would be so cool if they actually, like you said, Ace was.
Imagine he was David, like he was around in the 50s and he was killed. Like that's the reason how at the end of the movie, and we're branching off. We're talking about Stand By Me now, which we could do another show on. But
we will.
At the end of that, he says we're going to get you for this, and don't think we're going to forget. They didn't forget, but David Ace went missing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine that kind of shit. Imagine. That's kind of fun.
There's so many connections, like I said, you can make. But The Lost Boys is something that I think any 80s person or 80s adult or 80s kid had to love. You couldn't not love The Lost Boys. I mean, it had horror. It had comedy.
Yep.
It had a love story.
It had sex, yeah. Jamie Gertz was pretty sexy.
I kind of don't forget Gertz. I wish that sex scene went on a little bit longer.
Don't forget the shirtless saxophone player. The bodybuilding saxophone player.
Tim Capello.
Tim Capello. Yeah,
I saw a recent video of this fucking guy.
He still does the song, right?
And he was still wearing like the leather jockstrap.
Yeah, man.
Tim, if you ever hear this, dude, I salute you, because that's fucking awesome.
We should reach out to him and try to talk to him. That'd be kind of cool, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool. He should follow this. He should follow the page, dude, and the timeline Instagram.
In that movie, like he's such a memorable character. I mean, he doesn't even do anything really, but like how many other like saxophone playing, singing, bodybuilding, guys are there? Like,
He
you know what I
looked
mean?
like- You know what's funny is he actually looked with the purple tights and the gold.
Was he wearing
belt and
tights or
everything.
he was wearing jeans?
No, they were
I don't
tights.
even
I think they
remember
were
what he
purple
was
tights.
wearing. Maybe, who knows?
He looked like Triple H, bro.
Yeah, he reminded me like later on. And
Like Hunter Hearst Helmsley when he used to wear the hair and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I just think that, after we promoted this on the Instagram, I had so many DMs from people going, dude, oh my God, when is this dropping?
Yeah.
And I was just promoting it because I know me and you, we couldn't get together and we wanted to record this.
Yeah, we've been trying really hard.
And people don't even know that it's like being recorded tonight.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to be putting it out next week, so I'm sorry in advance.
Man, yeah, that's all right.
But at the same time, like, because, we decided what we were going to do as far as scheduling goes. So I just wanted to, set that precedent where I'm going to be promoting things for them, for days to come.
It might take a week or so before you get a new episode, but it's because, our schedules are a little rough and we try to fit this in as best we can. So, it's really on our minds that we want to make sure that we satisfy everybody who's going to be interested in listening to these podcasts and all the fans, all the followers that are from 80s and 90s Cinemas pages. Just know that we're trying to do our best and just sit tight and, we'll get there.
I'm actually happy to announce that we're on Apple Podcasts.
Yep.
We're on Google Podcasts. We are on Stitcher. We're on a bunch of them. The only one that we're not on, which a lot of people were like kind of iffy on, was SoundCloud. Now, I'm not familiar with SoundCloud. I actually tried to put the podcast on SoundCloud today, and it's not fucking letting me create an account.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I did a poll. I don't know if you saw the poll.
No.
A lot of people do use SoundCloud.
Okay.
So I guess we're missing out on the SoundCloud.
Well,
but
I guess in the future we're gonna try to do our best to get on there if we can. And right now there's plenty of other platforms to find us on. I mean, if you can't find us on anything, YouTube is there. We're on YouTube. So
well, that's
if
nothing
you're
yet.
interested
We
and you
are
don't
on.
have,
We are
yeah.
on YouTube. Yeah. We're on a bunch of them actually. So
yeah, Spotify.
Yeah, we are. We're
Anchor.
on a bunch of them, and
So you'll find us somewhere.
Yeah, no, people. I get DMs from saying, "Oh, how come you're not on this one?" And I'm like, dude, I never even fucking heard of Overcast.
Yeah, it's hard to be on everything. And I mean, if you really want us to be on those things, then cool, we'll try. But I mean, like I said, if all else fails, YouTube is always there.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube's huge.
If you have internet access, you should be able to find us on YouTube.
So just for the record, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Stitcher. We're on YouTube. I mean, I think we pretty much hit the majority of what you can listen to.
We conquered it all.
I think so. So, I just want to thank everybody for listening. I think that it's really, really cool. And I want to thank everybody for reaching out and saying how much they love the show.
We appreciate you.
We really do appreciate that. I think it's great.
All the encouragement really helps us also when it's hard for us to end our day of work to come and get together and do this. All the appreciation, all the comments and all the positive, all the support and the positivity from you guys really help encourage us to, get off our asses and make it happen, even though, we're really tired and we have, our jobs and stuff like that. But we thank you very much.
Yeah. So let's get into this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
let's talk about, we already covered how David and them just looked badass and they were a badass.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, as far as that,
Let's talk about Jason Patric.
Jason Patric.
You want to talk 80s? He had the hair. Yeah. Later on, he had the earring.
Yeah. He got his ear pierced.
You know how me and you talk about how actors are just actors. Mm-hmm. They don't always have to look, the age because they're playing a part. But to me, he always looked 27 playing like an 18.
He looked like an adult, yeah. Well, they all did. I think Kiefer Sutherland looked older than, But see, when I was younger, I always thought that they were probably like 20, 21 years old. I didn't think that they were supposed to be 16, 17 years old like that. I didn't think of it that way. But that was just me. I mean, maybe other people got, a different opinion from that. But
I mean, as a kid, watching this, I mean, I don't really remember like what age I was when I first saw this movie.
Well, we narrowed it down before pretty much. You probably you're around 5, I think.
And I was really scared shit for this movie, constantly covering my eyes. As soon as the movie opens, with the cop, and him getting taken up as fat as he was, and they lifted his fat ass off into the fucking air.
Yep.
Which was a great scene, by the way, on the boardwalk, and it was just so eerie.
Well, at the beginning, yeah, you see him tell the guys to get off the boardwalk because they're on the merry-go-round, you know, and he tells them, you two, off the boardwalk because there was the little scuffle.
Yeah.
And then he's going to his car, and then you know that somebody gets revenge, but you don't know how because you never see it. You never see whoever it is that lifts him up into the sky. You don't know what it is. And even throughout the movie, we never see them flying. You only see them flying at the end when David's fighting with Michael.
Yeah.
You only see them flying there. So you never get to see them actually flying overhead at all in any of the scenes, you know?
Yeah, and I, you know, you see, you know, and then they do the whole shot after he, you know, the cop gets taken away. They do the shot of Santa Cruz, which obviously was Santa Carla.
Well, it's Santa Carla. They turned Santa Cruz into Santa Carla.
Right,
yeah.
and they show you the whole, like, you know, the amusement park and them riding in the car. And as soon as they see the murder capital of the world,
Yep.
and that music hits, dude,
Yeah.
if you didn't get...
What a mood setter, you know?
Yeah, I mean...
Because they're on the boardwalk and they're moving to a new... When you go from a place that's familiar to you, because they have to move to a new state, because the mom got the divorce and everything, and they had to leave. They had to go live with grandpa for a little while. So even if you're a kid or not, when you uproot yourself and move to a new place, everything is going to be odd or strange to you. So the fact that they're moving to this place, Santa Carla, and they're on the boardwalk, and they're driving on the boardwalk, and they're passing by all these weird looking people. You know, it emphasizes that whole thing, and the song fits perfectly. And not only is it like weird enough because you're moving from a place that you're used to living your entire life, and now you're moving to a new place, which is strange to begin with. They're not only moving to a new strange place, but it's a strange place. You know what I mean?
This song... And the funny thing is, this song was done by The Doors.
Yeah,
originally.
The original one was,
But this was done by Echo and the Bunnymen.
Yeah.
I like this better.
You know why? Because you can relate to this already because it's from your childhood. That's why.
It just still today gives me fucking creeps, bro.
Yep. That's the version that makes you happy because when you hear it, you think of the Lost Boys.
Yeah, I guess.
Same thing with me.
That song, even just now, like, the hairs in my neck of fucking stand it. Because it's just, you know, you look at the other people and you wonder, after you've seen the whole movie, people that walk around this boardwalk, are they half vampires? What the fuck are they?
You don't know.
You don't know.
After the movie's over, everything's up for debate. Everything.
Yeah, which we'll get into that. We'll get into that
exactly.
Later. So after they get settled in, obviously they see the fucking grandfather. They get to the grandfather's house.
Yeah, and he's kind of strange.
And he's strange as fuck. Okay, he's very strange.
Yep.
Him playing dead.
He plays dead,
laying on the fucking floor. And then, you know, he was like, "What do you? Oh, is he dead?
Yeah,
playing dead.
He's just a deep sleeper.
Yeah,
playing dead.
Playing dead. Yeah.
And from the sound of it, I'm doing a damn good job of it too. Yep. Grandpa was cool, man. I love Grandpa in that movie.
He was cool.
He was.
You know, and the fact that you want to talk strange, there he was, no TV.
Yep.
No TV. You don't have a TV. Wait, so there is a TV?
If you have a TV guide, you don't need a TV.
Yeah.
Fucking Grandpa, man.
There's so many lines.
Grandpa was busy.
Yeah, he was busy, especially with the Widow Johnson.
He was busy with, man. You know, that Windex turns him on, you know. You use some Windex, man, they'll be banging down your fucking door. You'd have all the chicks all over you.
He also had the pot plants growing.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
See, Grandpa was a busy guy.
Yeah.
You know, building that special fence to keep things in or keep things out.
Yeah, that's true.
He spent a lot of time building that fence that came in handy later on, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. I don't think he meant for it to be for that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I mean, they were pretty pointy.
Well, the pointy parts were supposed to go in the ground usually, but for some reason they weren't.
Yeah.
You know, that always, I didn't really think about that when I was younger, when I first saw the movie. I didn't notice really that, but it looked like he was building a fucking, like a wall. He was building a gate for well, we find out at the end that Grandpa knew about the vampires. He knew there were vampires in Santa Carla. Let's not blow it. Like, if anyone listening out there, if you're listening to this and you've never seen the movie, then I'm sorry, but you know, it is what it is. But we find out later on he knows there are vampires, and you wonder if maybe he was trying to protect his family who's coming to live with him. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, think about it. He knew about the vampires.
Mm-hmm.
he stayed to himself. How about when he goes to take Sam? He's like, "Oh, let's go into town.
Let's go to town." Yeah.
Oh, that's
I thought we were going to town.
That's as close as town. As close to what did you say?
That's as close to town as I'd like to get.
Yeah, he didn't want to go to town. And Sam's like, "Are you kidding?"
Because Grandpa knows. He knows it's bad news.
Yeah.
He knows where not to go, what not to do, who not to talk to. He knows to stay to himself. He knows.
Which again, nobody else knew.
And remember when he says in the movie, he's like, "We're having company again?" She goes, "Again? Dad, we haven't had company here since Mom died." And he goes, "Yeah, now we're having company again." And we don't know when Mom died or how Mom died. Nobody knows any of that stuff. But when I see movies now, I think a little bit more. But when I was a kid, I didn't pay much attention to that stuff. But like now I wonder, especially with the comic sequels and all the things and everything like that, of how they built around this movie, what could have been, like how they turned different stories in the movie or different parts of the story into a whole new story, like a second story, and I'm wondering like, Grandpa and what happened to Mom and what Grandpa knows and how Grandpa knows it. And, why is he not so afraid? Like he lives there. He doesn't move. No, he's perfectly fine with vampires being there. He hates them, but
being
he's
a
like
taxidermist. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
So I mean, it's all he fucking does is he handed Sam a fucking.
He gave him an owl, a beaver,
and the beaver just had the face on the beaver.
Yeah, he scares
and Sam's
the shit
like
out of him.
Creeped out by it. So but that's all he does.
Yeah,
and he has his beard. And again, this is we thought that the whole theory of him being a vampire, comes from the comics.
Yeah.
Okay, which basically. Just after they made the comics, put it into just made it real that he was a vampire. Because they actually tell you that the beer that's his in the fridge.
Root beer. It's root beer.
It's root beer. It's not really beer. It's blood. But it's animal blood. So, the beaver that he stuffed, the owl that he stuffed, he killed those.
He's killing those animals to sustain himself instead of killing people because he's not a full vampire. He's sort of a half vampire that never makes his first kill, which they talk about in the movie, that Michael has all the vampire tendencies, but he can still go out in the daytime. He wears sunglasses all the time. He's sleeping a lot during the day, but Michael can still do those things because he hasn't made his first kill. And the idea is Grandpa's the same way. Grandpa refuses to make his first kill, or he's not allowed to make a first kill.
Right.
So he's supposed to be sort of like a Renfield. Renfield was like Dracula's sidekick who can kind of do Dracula's bidding during the day because Dracula's got to sleep during the day. But somebody's got to go, shopping. Somebody's got to decorate the castle.
Well, yeah, someone's got to do all that stuff.
So Grandpa had to keep his appearances up so that people wouldn't suspect him or be suspicious of him. So in the movie, the story is of obviously the teenagers, the boys, the Lost Boys, who David, Dwayne, Paul, and Marco. Michael and Sam meet them, so to speak. Sam doesn't really meet them, but Michael does.
Well, on the boardwalk.
On the boardwalk.
Well, at the concert, actually.
At the concert, because he spots Star.
Yeah,
and he kind of chases Jamie Gertz down, which who wouldn't?
Exactly, because she was fucking hot in that movie.
Yeah, and then she gets on the motorcycle, which is kind of teasing Michael a little bit. It looks like we didn't know so much at the beginning of the movie when we first saw it, but they're kind of trying to bait Michael in, and then Michael bites. He pretty much, goes for the bait later after that because she actually goes after him.
Right, she does.
And when he's trying to look to get his ear pierced and everything, and then she kind of hits on him and brings him up. But the whole thing was, it was to get Michael and Sam to join the Lost Boys so that Max can have Lucy.
Yes.
So
that's what it all comes down to.
That's pretty much what the idea of the movie was, which is really, really cool.
Everything happens in sequence because if you see Lucy go into the tape store, go on the boardwalk, Max standing there, he's got the dog, which is like
Thorn.
Yeah, Thorn, which is like that's like his protector.
The Hounds of Hell.
The Hound of Hell.
Yep.
And David and them come in.
Yep.
And obviously he's like, I told you never to come in here again. And they all just look at him and they smile. And if you think about it, if anybody's never seen this movie, we're sorry. Too fucking bad. But those are his kids.
Those are his boys. That's his group.
Yeah.
Like Shredder with, like we said in the last show, with all those young kids that he was kidnapping off the street and trying to tell them, Max was forming his own little group of Lost Boys, which is a reference to Neverland also with Peter Pan, because it's a bunch of young boys who never want to grow up. They want to stay kids, but in this case, they're vampires, so they can't grow up.
Well, that's because of what he said to them, though.
Well, no, he says no. That David says it to Michael. It was a reference to the Neverland, Peter Pan and Wendy, because Neverland is where Peter Pan is from, and he never grows up. Peter Pan is a little boy forever because he doesn't want to become an adult. Like, becoming an adult is like a trap. But It's just a reference to that because the Lost Boys were the boys that Peter Pan lived with on Neverland. So they called themselves the Lost Boys because they were just all a bunch of group of boys that, never wanted to get older or become adults.
And it's what he says.
Yeah.
You are. You'll never grow old, Michael. And you'll never die.
Yep.
But you must feed.
But you must feed.
Well, the feed part wasn't in the Peter Pan, but it was just
but
you'll never grow old and you'll never die.
Yeah, which I thought was greatly said because when he's saying that, he's got the blood all pouring down his his face. Which, by the way, let's talk about that. That's cool, but let's talk about that kill scene for a minute
with the surf Nazis.
Oh my God! Again, watching interviews with Kiefer Sutherland, he said that there was a scene that they cut from the movie, which was too violent.
Yeah.
You do see like a glimpse of it, but it wasn't as graphic as he said it described to be. So basically what they did was it looked like they made a cast out of this guy's head, and it was like a giant piece of cake. And they wanted Kiefer to like basically bite it, so the back of the guy's head just explodes everywhere, all over Kiefer's face. And Kiefer just keeps eating it and eating it till he gets like to the center core, like the guy's brain. And they were like, you know what, let's hold back because, it's going to be rated R. They were shooting for like rated R, and they were like, I think that's going to put it into something else.
It's going to put it into an X.
Yeah, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So let's refrain a little bit and come back.
Well, the part where I believe it's Paul that does it. He like scalps the guy. He grabs the guy's scalp and he rips the skin from the head back.
Is it Paul? I don't know. It's one of them.
I think it's Paul.
And you see his brain come up. But you see David bite someone's head and the blood squirts.
And the blood squirts. That was like the beginning scene of that. They just never finished putting it in there. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, watching these things now and them telling that, it just makes it even better because I'm like, now I'm thinking to myself, like, damn, why didn't they fucking put that in the movie?
Well, like you said, they were going for an R rating and it's 1987.
Well, 1987, it's not now.
Now it would have been probably a little different.
Now they fucking show people hanging and dropping from buildings and shit.
But I think the important thing is always not to show it if they don't have to. You know what I mean? I think your imagination should still play a big part in what you're watching, I believe. And I think they showed enough. They got the point across. Like, just because you don't see fucking David, like, mange into his brain doesn't mean, it wasn't a gruesome scene, because I still think it pretty much was. And you could see they're throwing the bodies on the fire, and the fire's getting bigger, and they're all dancing around like fucking nuts and everything. And you see Paul, like, he vamps out to the point where his face is like all fucked up, and his hair is all over the place, and he doesn't even look the same. Like, even when you see him as a vampire later on in the movie,
his face
there's like stages to becoming a vampire. Like, you're gonna look the way you do kind of as a human, and you get like just the eyes and the teeth, and then the cheekbones, and then the brow ridge, and everything comes together. And then, but when you go full on, like, their faces are completely different. It's fucking crazy.
They did that in the second movie, which I was like, I think
it was too much. I think the second movie was too much. But like I said, that's why sometimes, a little bit is just enough. Like, going too far is probably too far. Like, I agree with that. I always think less is more. That's me. That's why I don't like a lot of CG in certain movies. I think practical effects sometimes does it. And nowadays, as advanced as computer technology is, I still think practical effects technology is also advanced. And there's been some examples of it, like tremendous examples of it in a lot of movies. Like Hellboy is one of them. Like, you see Hellboy and Hellboy 2. That's mostly practical effects,
Yeah, we didn't need much effects with this movie.
No, not at all.
I mean, again, like you said, less is more.
Yeah.
So we needed to see them flying.
No. It was scarier not knowing what was there.
Well, we had that sound, that bat sound.
That's what I'm saying. So you're wondering if they turned into bats. Are they bats? Can they be bats?
David's feet.
But we never get to see him turn into bats.
No, his feet. It's when it makes you wonder. Like, after you listen to that and you hear that and you see it. When the fucking guy puts his boots on, does he have his feet are like
that's
claws?
What I'm saying. Who knows? Like, maybe that's when they turn into a vampire. Things change. Your face changes. Maybe their feet too. Maybe that happens. Like, their hands, the nails come out and shit like that. I guess an advanced form of vampire when he's actually fully turned is going to look a lot different, probably.
Their nails also, I was reading something where their nails, they weren't like a regular like manicured nail. They were like cut to the edge. And again, there was supposed to be another scene where David goes to kill one of the guys, the Nazis on the beach, and he just grabs him by his neck and like swipes his neck and like slits his throat. And then again, they left that out. They're like, oh, it's too violent. Which I don't understand how. They got like fucking Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street.
But I think because of the audience that they were looking for like teenagers, but they weren't going full on horror for the movie. They still wanted to keep it a little bit more tame. They wanted that sexuality to come out and stuff like that. And they wanted it to still be good for all kinds of teenagers. Like, you know, females, males, all kinds of shit. Like, so there's a little bit of everything in there for that reason. Well, originally Richard Donner was supposed to do this movie.
Yes.
And he couldn't because of whatever. So Joel Schumacher took over. But Richard Donner wanted it to be like Goonies.
Yeah, I don't know
Richard
how that
Donner
would have worked.
He wanted the vampires to be younger, like 12, 13 years old. And then he wanted like the Frog Brothers to be like 8-year-old little kids like that. He wanted it to be a little bit more fun-loving, like a little bit more family-oriented. But Joel Schumacher took it and said no. And he changed it. And he wanted it to be a lot sexier and a lot more grown up, but the audience he was looking for was more teenagers and like older, and that's why he did what he did with all the actors and stuff like that.
Well, if you go based off of that, I mean, it was sexy. I mean, listen, bro, I could watch Jamie Gertz all fucking day.
Yeah, I can, exactly, and that's why he used like we know Alex Winter. Alex Winter was from other things, Bill and Ted, and Kiefer Sutherland was in Stand By Me. We know Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, but like the two guys that played Dwayne and Paul, what were they? Do you remember their names?
I think they were just models.
They were like underwear models, and like they got them because they wanted to make sure that they had something for, like, you know, so the cast was a good looking cast anyway, no matter what, don't get me wrong, but like they wanted to make sure that they put the nail in that coffin, no pun intended, and they wanted to make sure that they got the attention of, you know, the ladies and everything too.
Yeah, because you know
exactly.
You got what's his name, Billy Wirth, who played Dwayne.
Billy Wirth, yeah, that's his name, Billy Wirth. He was in like one or two other things, I think, too.
I mean,
maybe
he's a
after
good-looking
the
guy.
movie.
He's a good-looking guy.
Sure, but they weren't fucking models, so of course he was a good-looking guy, you know.
And then you had Brooke McCarter, R.I.P.
Yeah, he passed away a couple years ago. He had like liver disease or something like that, some kind of kidney disease.
Shit,
yeah, that's
which
terrible.
Is sad.
Yeah, but even Corey Haim and we can go on.
Herman.
Yeah, and Edward Herman. Yeah, he had brain cancer.
The grandfather's name, Bernard.
I don't remember. Maybe.
Could be. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry.
And I'm not familiar with a lot of things. And like, I don't do all my research and go online and look everybody up. I just go by. I think the show moves more fluidly if we just like go by memory and stuff.
Yeah,
as much as we know about the movie. But yeah, you can look them up right now.
Yeah, because the grandfather, you know, I don't know if you think is he dead?
I don't know. I mean, he was grandpa in 1987. I can't imagine like 30 years later that he's not. You know, I mean, he could be 90. Right. You were right. What, Bernard Hughes?
Bernard Hughes.
Is he passed or?
Oh yeah, he died in 2006.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry to hear that too.
To the family of Bernard Hughes.
You have Edward Herman, Corey Haim.
Yep.
Bernard Hughes.
Yep.
Brooke McCarter.
Brooke McCarter.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Man, you were memorable for a lot of things in this movie.
Especially Corey Haim.
Corey Haim was in a ton of shit, man. Yeah, I liked everything that kid's ever been in.
I mean, yeah.
You know, and they mentioned the sequels, like when he's supposed to do, which was it? The Thirst?
The Thirst. Yeah, he did the sequel for the Tribe.
But he's only in the ending of it. He's only in like the after credit scene.
Right.
Which teased another one, but he passed away like that year or something like that. The year the movie was released or something, I think, right? Not
that he passed away. I'm just grateful that he didn't do the other movies, or the other movie, I should say, because the Tribe and the Thirst were shitty.
Yeah, but that's them. But what like, would you not want to see one where he's a vampire and now, you know, Edgar...
Not without Jason Patrick or Kiefer Sutherland reprising or anything like that.
I don't have to have them all in the movie. If the script is good enough, if the story is good, I don't need everybody just to have it.
The second movie sucked.
The third movie... The second movie didn't have original cast. It had the Frog Brothers. Like, it's not... That's it.
And Corey Haim, that was it at the end.
But
the story sucked.
I understand that. I'm not saying it didn't. What I'm saying is having another sequel, another one where the main antagonist is Sam as a vampire.
Yeah.
That could be different because there's more. That's going to... You're asking a different audience to come see that movie, because you're gonna say like the people like us fans of the first movie are gonna go see the sequels, but they're looking for new fans also.
They are.
That's gonna be a different kind of story. I think that's a more personal story, because that's not what happened in the other two sequels.
No.
Now you're talking Sam, who is a main character who they tease at the end is now a vampire.
Well, the third movie, he's dead in the third movie.
All right, but
because they go to his grave.
All right, but what would have been is my point.
I don't think it would work.
You can't say that because it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, but I'm saying if this is my opinion.
But you're talking
I don't
about
think it would work without bringing Jason Patric.
Why though?
Because it's just not. It's retro, dude.
What does that mean? It's retro.
It's a throwback.
Yeah, it will be if you have everybody else in the movie too. They don't have to be in it for it to be something. They don't have to be. Because if the movie's written right, if the movie's written well, and the story's good, right? And they have all the drama you need in there because of who he is and the attachment to the Frog Brothers and what had happened, what they went through, and all that stuff that they went through together for Sam to become a vampire anyway. There's a lot of drama in it. There's a lot of room for story.
I guess.
Bringing everyone else from the old movie and just to be in it is retro. That's just adding more fuel to the fire. That's overkill. You don't need it if it's not necessary. What do we just get finished saying? Sometimes, too much is too much. Less is more. And if you have a good story to follow, that's all that's important to me.
I guess for me, I want to see something with the older, the other characters.
You want overload, of course, because those characters are obviously more, I'm not going to say popular, but you like them more.
Yeah.
So you're going to want to see more of them in that, which I get, which I understand.
I don't give a shit if they get the younger kids and then, Sam's like a head vampire or whatever the fuck he is.
But you don't care about that because you're just assuming a plot right now off the top of your head to support your narrative. Your opinion about it not being good. So you're going to, right off the top of your head, you're going to pull shit out of your ass and say, oh, this would be terrible. But that's only saying if that's what the movie is going to be.
What I'm saying is, I don't also like things like, again, to me, they're making a sequel to The Lost Boys and the third one too. It was unnecessary. It didn't need to be.
It didn't, but if it would have been done the right way, which it wasn't, they just took advantage of what they could and they tried to put it out as quick as possible.
That's what I'm saying. And it kind of, to me, it kind of ruined it.
It did, but nothing's going to change the first movie.
You know what they
don't care
did
about
that was
the
better?
sequels.
What I think was better than the movies, the fucking comics.
The comic book. The comic book was good because it followed the first movie directly and it continued on with that story.
Yeah. Also, again, we didn't need those sequels. Listen to me, and those
Hindsight's
sequels,
2020. But what are you gonna do?
The best part of those sequels was the fact that Edgar Frog became a minister, and the way he killed the last vampire. Mm-hmm. He threw the water on him, sprayed him with water, and then started, praying and saying the prayer, and the guy lit up on flames.
Exactly.
Awesome.
But wouldn't anybody who's a vampire hunter, wouldn't they just fucking get ordained? Isn't that the easiest way to kill vampires? Just get ordained.
And then look at him and pray, I guess.
And you can pray, boom, and you could blow everybody up, boom, boom, and it's easy, isn't it?
I guess.
That's like what with The Walking Dead. Why don't they just move to Canada or something where it's below freezing so all the zombies would just freeze? And you wouldn't have to kill them all, you know what I mean? They wouldn't be able to chase you. Why the hell are you staying somewhere where it's 89 degrees all year round? Go somewhere where it's fucking cold. You're traveling around for 9 years on foot, living in fucking cabin to woods to this and that. Go north.
I agree.
Go where it's cold, where anything living, if a human being or a zombie was outside for a couple of hours, they would freeze solid. Just go there, live there where it's fucking cold. To me, these are things that they're easy solutions for me. But then you wouldn't have the movies, you wouldn't have the shows, you wouldn't have the stories.
Yeah, because and nothing's prolonged.
Exactly.
It's 1, 2, 3.
That's what I'm saying. So you never know what could happen. You never know what could have been. If Corey Haim would have still been with us and would have done something with a proper sequel.
It's possible.
Yeah. And
he even said that he was disappointed with the movie. He was.
Well, he wasn't in a real one. Like, he did a fucking end credit scene.
Yeah, which was...
It wasn't a real movie. He never got a chance to be in a real sequel.
No.
That was, what's it called? Foreshadowing for a proper third movie or whatever. And it never happened. So it didn't come to fruition, but what are you going to do? We still got the first one, which really is all that matters to me.
Yeah, the first one is the one that matters to me the most.
Yeah.
I do want to mention that again, I know we were talking about the comics really quick.
Yeah.
But if anybody doesn't know that comics do exist for this movie.
Yeah.
They do exist.
Yep.
I think I have 1 or 2 of them, but there are a bunch of them on eBay and so forth. If you find them, good luck.
Yeah.
But they're awesome. They really are.
I had them for a short time and I lent them out and I never received them back. So shit happens. So that's why I don't like lending movies and shit sometimes. I mean, it doesn't matter how. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into it.
Let's talk about the scene where they are riding their bikes on the beach. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we were just talking about before. Let's go back because now we're gonna have to backtrack.
Yep.
Let's go back to where Michael is looking at on the boardwalk, and he's looking at the person getting the ear pierced, and Star comes up to him and says, "It's a ripoff."
You want your ear pierced? I'll do it for you.
Yeah, and she was so hot. I'm gonna
She
go.
still is.
I'm gonna go a little, not so PG here. Where for all the guys listening, when she's walking, bro, you could see nothing but nipples right through them shirts.
Yeah, man.
Oh man,
Sexy.
so hot. Yeah, she's so fucking sexy.
She's one of my. I lost my childhood virginity to her and
Jamie Gertz, a
Elizabeth
star.
Shue. Actually,
Elizabeth Shue.
Elizabeth Shue and Karate Kid.
We're gonna be talking about her next because of the Karate Kid.
Well, we're gonna talk a lot about her. I could do a whole show about her myself. And we got to meet. We didn't meet her really, but remember at the Red Lobster?
Yeah.
That time, her and her fucking brother were there.
Yeah.
I was a chicken shit. I didn't want to go up to her. If I was
After
me
you were
now,
a dick to her brother.
yeah. Well, he was an asshole. He was smiling at me like a fucking idiot, and I'm like, "What are you fucking smiling at?" And I didn't. And he walked by, and I'm like, "Doesn't that look like Andrew Shue?" And you're like, "Yeah, yeah,
it is.
And then we didn't know at first. Then we get inside, and we saw her, and we were like.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit! I just fucking told Andrew Shue to stop smiling like a fucking idiot. But oh well.
So after they're walking or whatever.
Yeah.
He says that you want to go somewhere for a ride,
Yeah.
and she says,
Okay.
Yeah.
Like ditzy. Okay.
And she goes to get on his bike, and then what happens?
David pulls up with the boys
Where you going, Star?
for a ride.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for a ride, and he's like, Star, and he looks at her like, bitch, what are you doing?
Yeah. We have a plan. You're deviating from the plan. All right. Just keep it in your pants, Star. Let's go. All right.
Yeah, keep it in your fucking pants. And the funny thing about that is that, again, now they pants the other characters, and
Yeah.
there's Paul laughing his ass off, hitting the fucking handlebars of the bike because he's a nut job.
Yep.
It all fits so well. Then she gets on his bike, and then he asks him, "Hey, do you know where this is?"
Where something bluff overlooking
Hudson,
the point.
yeah.
Hudson Bluff looking
And he's
over
like,
the
"I
point.
can't beat your bike."
I'm not asking you to beat me, Michael. Just try to keep up.
Dude, his lines are fucking badass.
And we talked about this before. He had the least amount of dialogue of anyone else in the movie because of who he was. He's a great actor. Everything he's done since then just proves it. He's such a good actor. His dad was a really good actor too. But he takes this role and he fucking destroys it.
Yeah.
He kills it with this character, and everything he's in is gold. Every scene he's in, everything he does is memorable. I don't think there's a part in the movie where he's not stealing the show.
That scene, as soon as he says, "Just gotta try and keep up,"
He's always so calm and collected.
yeah,
Even
and
when he's being an asshole.
but so fucking serious.
Yep.
And then they all start screaming, "Whoa!" and then they fucking start driving on the boardwalk.
And they go down the steps and Michael's afraid.
And then that song,
Yep. Lost in the shadows. Yep.
dude.
Yep.
This fucking song is so cool. All I wanted to do after watching this movie was ride my
I
bike
wanted to ride, yeah.
and listen to this song.
Yep. And we did that, like as kids. I don't know if you remember distinctly. We used to ride around, and we used to go onto the top where that the football field was, like where that big field was near our house. We'd ride up there. Remember the trail, the track that was up there around it?
Yeah,
We would
I do.
get up on there with our bikes, and then we would ride our bikes down the hill.
Yes.
Really fast without pedaling, and we would scream, woo! We would do what they did down the hill all the time on our bikes. So you were probably even too young to remember that.
Just a badass scene, and then
Yeah.
they're going through underneath the docks and
Yep.
all around. And this is where it starts to get scary because now they're going to the bluff. And Michael is really trying to beat David because he sees Star on the back.
He wants to beat him because he wants to show him up, but
Yep.
David's just fucking with him.
Yeah,
That's all he's doing.
That's all he's doing. He ends up
He knows
falling.
that.
He
Yep.
ends up falling, and he goes and punches David right in his shit. He says, "Just you,
Yeah.
just you. I don't want anybody else. Just you.
And what does David say?
How far are you willing
How
to
far
go?
you willing to
Michael?
go?
How far are you willing to go,
And
Michael?"
didn't Will Wheaton say that to him too? You gonna kill all of us?
Yes,
No,
he did.
Ace.
Just you. Oh, that's sad.
Just you.
Fucking poor Kiefer, man.
That's why I say the connection between the Ace and the David character are so tight, even though they're completely different films. I mean,
You know what?
completely different
That's a good
films.
point because I never even thought about that.
And they're like similar characters in the leader of the pack kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Just
the
you.
guy, right?
Just you.
And where do they go after that? They go to the cave.
They go to the
right?
cave, and that's when David spits out all his fucking
All his history
all his
lesson about the
knowledge.
cave, about
Yeah.
the earthquake, the big earthquake.
in San Francisco. He's like, so now it's ours.
Yep.
And
Check it out, Mikey. Paul was cool.
dude, those spandex pants he's wearing, the fucking
He looked
belt.
like Shawn Michaels.
He did
in that movie.
He did.
I always thought that too. Like Shawn Michaels kind of
did.
looked like Paul from Lost Boys.
He did. He
That's
did.
why Shawn Michaels was my favorite wrestler too.
Fucking
baby.
rockers.
Yeah. Well, when he turned heel, he was my favorite wrestler. I didn't care about him before that.
The whole thing with when he's like food. The guy runs. I always thought Marco when Marco
Food.
runs, he goes food. You know, I always thought like, well, he could fly. Did he go to like Japan for this fucking food?
He went to China.
He went to China
I don't
for
think
this
he's
fucking
Superman.
food.
I don't think he's quite that fast.
Came back. Chinese. Good choice.
Yep.
They eat the Chinese, and again, this is where you start to learn that they can do more than just turn into a vampire and fucking fly.
They have mind control
They have
and mind
mind
manipulation and stuff like that.
Which is
there were
cool.
actually a lot of parts of this movie that where the original script was cut. They either didn't put it in the movie or they just never really talked about it in the movie. But in the original script, the vampires aren't allowed to cross running water. They're not allowed to cross running water.
I've never heard of that before.
And salt sticks to their skin. Like salt would stick to them.
I know garlic.
Yeah, well, garlic deters them. Garlic is like a deterrent. But yeah, there's a novelization of the movie. I looked this up on purpose because I had the book growing up. I told you this the other day. I had that book growing up. And it was a novelization of the movie that they made. And there's a bunch of extra shit in it that didn't make it into the movie. But the writer of the novel, the novelization of the movie, put it in his book.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. I thought... I'm trying to look it up. Like I wrote it down so I can remember to mention it and talk about it with you because I didn't know if you knew. Yeah. There's some parts of vampire lore, inability to cross running water, and salt sticks to their feet somehow. But I was little when I had the book. I don't remember even reading the whole damn thing. But that's one of the things that were in there. And that's like, I guess everything is, when you're writing a story about vampires, there's a lot of different kind of mythology that you can put in or leave out or make up on your own. Garlic's one of them. An Interview with the Vampire, I think in the book they cried blood, but it wasn't in the movie, I don't think. And rain looked like falling diamonds to them. Like their vision is weird, so that water looks solid or something like that. I'm not too sure. But that's part of it in this situation here with the book. But I didn't read it. I wish I could get my hands on it again. I'd like to read it because that'd be pretty cool.
You know, it's funny. I looked up that book on eBay, and that book is like fucking $200.
Oh man, like a good condition copy of it.
No, it looks like a fucking librarian dropped it somewhere and someone picked it up and threw it away.
It wasn't. I don't know how many copies were made or whatever, but I don't think it was a big deal. They might have made a couple hundred copies, a couple thousand, who knows? But I remember having it as a kid. I don't know where I got it from. The pharmacies used to sell like magazines and books and shit. I don't know. Maybe my mother probably had it. That's probably how I ended up getting my hands on it.
You could probably like go to the library and request it, maybe.
Yeah, but then they'd have to get a reprinted copy or something like that. It would still be a problem, don't you think?
Possible.
Maybe I can find it online to just read.
It's possible.
Like one of them ebooks or some shit like that.
Maybe. Yeah. But the fact that they had those mind powers,
yeah,
you know, the fact that they can do all that, and then they was still like, you don't like rice? Tell me, Michael.
How could a billion Chinese
people be wrong? Wow.
Come on.
Wow. How
are those maggots?
You're eating maggots, Michael. How do they taste? And then just throws them on the floor. He spits it out.
No worms. They're not worms.
Yeah,
don't eat.
Yeah, don't eat. Yeah.
They're only noodles, Michael.
Yeah. They're only noodles, Michael.
They're only noodles,
dude,
Michael.
So, dude, as like I was like 8 years old, you were like 5 or something in the movie. Like when I was younger watching that was fucking amazing to me.
Yeah, they're only noodles, Michael.
Like, man.
But again, the way he says it,
the way he
noodles.
says it. Yeah, it's almost like he's got like some telepathy or something, and that goes back to like Dracula. Dracula would like look into my eyes, like he would hypnotize you,
and then he had
that ability.
You got fucking Star, leave him alone.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
But now she just
wanted to fuck him.
Yeah, of
she's
course
such
she
a
did.
slut. What a slut, man.
Fucking whore. But then you got David after she says leave him alone. he makes that face like,
All right.
like,
He looks like he kind of felt bad.
yeah.
But he
Yeah.
didn't.
He did it again.
Yeah.
Because she said leave after the maggots.
Yeah.
Leave him alone. And he looked like he kind of felt bad, like, all right. And then he did it with the fucking noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't eat they're only noodles.
They're only noodles, Michael. That was so. And then he whispers in Marco's ear,
Get me the wine.
"Get me the whatever." Like,
He actually says, get me the wine.
does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
So after he gets the wine, Michael, listen, then she said, don't drink it.
Yeah.
Why?
It's
Yeah,
blood.
It's blood. Yeah, blood. Right.
But he says, now we had this conversation once before.
Now, wait, before you say anything, when she says it's blood,
Yeah, right. It's blood.
it's blood. But you notice,
you can taste it.
David or any of them didn't say, well, it's not blood. How dare you?
No, he said it's only noodles.
Yeah.
No, it's not worms.
So wouldn't you like, if you gave something to someone.
Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Shut the fuck up. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
we had a plan. Remember the plan?
You remember the plan?
Shut the fuck up.
Right?
But she, she's wet and she wants it. So she's waiting for Michael to finish. And David, who knows if they had a relationship? I don't think it was really specified in the movie whether or not they were an item, but maybe David's a little like upset. Like maybe he kind of likes her and wants her for himself. And he's like, fuck this. Now we got to give this bitch to him to get him. Maybe he's a little resentful of that. Like he's a little resentful towards Max too, maybe. That's why he kind of fucks with Michael in a way. And he kind of, teases him a little bit and he kind of puts him on the brink of like killing himself or dying in some situations. And he fucks with him because he's poking at him because maybe he's kind of jealous.
It could be.
Because he has that's kind of like the what I see, the heat between the two of them is that David thinks that maybe Michael could be better than him.
Well,
And it's like a competition
I don't
because you
think-
know how boys are. Boys are always trying to one up each other. You know what I mean?
I don't think that he was thinking that he was better than him. He's a threat to him.
Well, that's what I mean.
The other guys in the group are no threats to fucking
No,
David.
but that's what I mean. Like David
Michael's
thinks that Michael is going to become the new leader.
Michael could
if
be.
Michael comes in because it's always about proving himself and it's always about putting Michael in an awkward position or a situation where he thinks he's going to die, scaring the shit out of him.
Well,
like
Michael really don't have to prove himself.
No, but Michael thinks the competition's for Star.
Right.
But David knows it's not. Like, fuck that bitch. You can have her. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's not what this is about. Like, fuck you. You're not going to come in here and you're going to take my gang away from me.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that. So the struggle between the two of them, there is a struggle, but for different reasons. David's reasoning is different because David feels threatened by Michael because he knows Michael could be stronger than him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's David's weakness. David's weakness is feeling inadequacy. Like, that's probably how Max got him to fucking lure him in. You know what I mean? He played on his emotions that way,
I also like the fact that how they just fucking toyed with Max too, not to make you think that Max didn't have anything to do with anything.
Well, yeah, at that part, we were kind of like, they were trying
They
to
throw the
distance
kite
themselves.
at him and everything, and
Yeah.
the vampire kite, the bat kite.
Was it a bat? I don't remember. I just remember seeing like a weird face on it.
No, it looked like a bat. It was
Could've
shaped
been.
like with wings.
Could've been.
It had the teeth and everything. So
But they're like boys. Like he says, my boys and your boys. Like they're his boys. Like they're
Yeah,
kids. Like
like
you
they're
gotta have to
kids.
remember that that's what they are, right? And
they're teenagers.
yeah. So like they're
Yeah.
gonna fuck around. They ride around the neighborhoods on their bikes, making noise and destroying shit and
Just at night, though.
Yeah, just at night, starting fights on the boardwalk. On the carousel and shit like that. That's what they do. They're just fucking around. They're fucking little punks.
So after all that happens, they go to the train tracks.
Yes.
Okay. Which actually, before we talk about the train tracks, let's talk about how after Michael drinks the blood, and you hear Michael,
yeah.
right? After that, if you look on the corner, and because you see David's face panning around and they're smiling like evilly and everything,
They just keep saying his name.
but if you look at Michael, what a fucking awkward kid! Like he's sitting there with the wine bottle and he's throwing his hands up like yay! Like it's so because he's supposed to be drunk.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if
Is
he's
he?
drunk or he's.
Well, I think it's symbolic of like he's coming into his own now. Like he's becoming something different. Like he's changing, and his attitude from then on did change.
It just seemed out of character, like because the way Jason Patrick is throughout the whole movie, and then you see Michael in the corner, like just throwing his hands up, like it almost looked like a female. The way he was doing it, he was like shouting his hands.
I almost
up.
think that he gained some confidence because he was kind of accepted by the guys. and it's like their way of celebrating, like, okay, you're one of us now. Remember, and Paul even says, you're one of us now. You're one of us, bud.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. So he kind of feels like, because that's kind of what he wanted. Because like I said before earlier,
He wanted to fit in.
He wanted to fit in, and they're moving from the place where they felt comfortable to a place that's strange to them, and they got to try to get their niche. And another parts of the movie that were taken out was. In the novel I was reading, I didn't read the novel. This was all online research. Michael gets a job as a garbage collector.
That's one of the deleted scenes.
One of the deleted scenes. And that's how he gets the money to buy his leather jacket, because he didn't have money. He needed a job. He got a job to pay and bought the leather jacket. And that's how he got his jacket, because they don't explain that in the movie. It's almost as if...
Yeah, because he says because when Sammy in the beginning says, I can't believe there's no TV, he's like, we're flat broke.
Yeah, yes. So and Lucy was looking for a job, and she gets a job at the video store and shit like that. So Michael ends up getting a job, as a garbage collector to make money. So that's in the movie also. Well, not in the movie. Sorry, it's a
deleted scene. Yeah, which I guess they felt like there was no relevance.
Probably not. It didn't make sense. It didn't have any sort of bearing on the continuation of the movie. It didn't really make a difference. But after that, I feel like he gained confidence now, and he's starting to feel like he's when you fit in with a group like that. They're kind of bullies. They're kind of punks, you kind of start to feel tough too, because you have a group of guys there with you.
Well,
and you
especially
start
them.
Exactly. And he doesn't know that they're vampires or nothing, but he knows that they're kind of tough guys, because he knows what kind of trouble that they cause and stuff like that. And he could see it, So to me, that's what Michael looked like a little bit. Like he's starting to fit in with them, and he's going to start having sort of that cockiness about him, and he kind of does later on in the movie too. I think after he doesn't know what's going on with him, but when they go to the train tracks, he still doesn't know what's going on fully, but he knows he didn't die, and he doesn't remember coming home, and like he's asleep all day long.
Yeah.
So I think that had a lot to do with it. I feel like that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, if he wanted to really fit in, but don't throw your arms up like a fucking woman.
Well, I don't know. He was dancing around and celebrating. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to justify it or claim I can explain it, but I can't. That's all I'm getting from it. I'm getting that from it.
It was just whatever. It was awkward.
Yeah.
Then they go to the train
I'll have
tracks.
to rewatch the scene. Maybe I'll have a different opinion.
Again, it's just awkward.
I never had that feeling about it. So
yeah, like he has the wine bottle in his hand. He's just like throwing his arms up. It's weird. If you watch it, you'll know what I mean.
When he's drinking it though, right? He's kind of like drinking it.
And then he goes like that with his arms.
Does he really?
Yeah, it's awkward.
Right,
yeah,
I gotta rewatch
and
that.
Like his leg is like up a little bit. It's just awkward. Yeah,
like the Captain Morgan pirate. Like
no.
What do you mean his leg is up?
Like
is he on his tippy toes or some shit?
Yeah, no, like his other one leg is like he sticks.
Why the fuck don't I remember this?
We gotta watch it.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah,
and I'm like, you might listen. I could be like wrong, but I'm telling you, he's like has his arm up. He throws his arm up like that. Like he's like, yeah, like I did it, but it's awkward. And one leg goes like that. It's just weird.
Yeah,
it's weird. Like
maybe we shouldn't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, it's just awkward. It's just so awkward. So they go to the train track.
Yeah,
and that's when they tell him, "You're one of us." Mm-hmm. Good night, Michael. And they all fucking drop down like bats hanging from a fucking...
They just jump off the side of the fucking the train tracks.
And that's when he's like, "You're one of us." And then they all start to drop, and because the train's coming and it's going over, and he's like, "Jesus," and then they all just drop. I as a kid, and I guess as an adult, because I watched it last night, like I was saying, and I'm watching it, and as he falls and he's screaming because he let go, whatever, he falls on the mattress.
Yeah.
How the fuck did he get there?
Well, that's the whole thing. The whole idea is like the rest of the night's just a blur to him, because he falls and he tried not to. It's not like he jumped like they did. He was scared and he lost his grip. He tried to pull himself up, but he was hanging for too long. And if he wasn't a vampire, he'd be dead. And he didn't know that he was a vampire. And that's another trick, another thing that David let him believe. David keeps putting him in these positions where he's not telling him what the fuck is going on. He's allowing him to find out for himself. I feel like if Michael wasn't such direct competition for David, that they would have just explained, that's
David would have sat him down and said, "This is what you're going to be,"
and it would have happened, and they would have, but no, they would have had to trick him, because not everybody is going to be like, "Oh, okay, I'll become a vampire." They would have still had to trick him, but after he drank the blood, it doesn't matter now. You are what you are.
Well, here's the thing.
You know what I mean?
Remember, he goes to look. Remember, he says after he starts floating and shit in the air.
Yeah.
He tells Corey Haim, "I'm gonna settle this. I'm gonna take care of all this."
Yeah.
Goes to the cave, finds Star.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is the fact that Michael didn't know he was a vampire, and David could have told him.
Well, that's what I'm getting.
They get to the train tracks, and he still doesn't tell him.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm getting to that. So after he goes to the cave, he fucks Star.
Yeah.
I hope he did it well too. I really do, for his sake.
Well,
anyway.
she was just asleep like for the rest of the movie, so he knocked her out, man. She was fucking out because he couldn't wake her up for shit like for the next like
she was so
day
fucking
and a half.
tired. So after they do that, right, he notices that after trying to attack Sam, his fucking hand is now
which
healed.
is a fucking amazing scene in my opinion.
It is.
It was so cool.
His hand is healed, and then the next night again he goes because he really went there looking to get his answers.
He wanted to.
And he was
looking for Star.
He was looking for Star.
Yeah, what's happening to me? What's happening?
And then
to me,
he goes to the boardwalk again, and David's sitting there smoking a cigarette, and he says, "Where's Star, David?" And he says, "Michael, if you ever want to see Star again, you better come with us now."
With us right now. Yeah.
And what happens? He takes Michael to
the beach where the surf Nazis are.
And what does he say to him?
Initiation's over, Michael.
Initiation.
Time to join the club.
This whole thing was a fucking game.
Well, there was a game for David. That's my point that I was trying to make because
he didn't want to just sit him down and say,
no,
you're going to be one of us.
He wanted to torture him because he felt threatened by Michael.
I think it's also like you're right. I think it had to do with him taking Star.
Yeah. Well, no, I think Michael thought it was because it was Star, but David didn't get. I don't think David cared about Star. I think David cared about his position in the group. Like, I'm the leader.
Yeah, like fuck
and
you.
Fuck you. And Max wants Michael. Max wants Michael and Sam for Lucy. But now David's like, wait, how is this going to affect me? Because, I'll get this guy for you. That's why David didn't give a fuck if he ended up dying or something. It was kind of David going like, oops, like what happens if Michael drove off the bluff?
Yeah.
What happens then? He died. Oh, shit. Well, sorry. And then Max's plans are ruined, and whatever happens to David. But David's not going to lose his leadership position. You know what I mean? So I think he toys with Michael knowingly, on purpose, knowing, okay, eventually I'm going to have to do what I'm told, but I'm not going to make this easy for you. So, like when he says initiation's over, he's showing, like, listen, if you don't know by now, like, fuck it. Like, you made it this far, so now I'm going to show you what you are. All right? And this is what you got to do. Like, tough shit now. You're stuck with this.
Yeah, so he says initiation's over.
Time to join the club.
They all fucking come out and their faces are all fucked. Dude, I will forever remember that fucking scene.
When he just comes out, like he turns his head and looks at him, it's like, ah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude, he comes out of the darkness, his fucking teeth are showing.
And it's a perfect metaphor because you kind of see the side of his face and he's talking and you don't know what he's looking for. And then, like, that's now you've seen his real face, like who he really is.
Like the vampire. And then he looks
comes
around.
Out of the shadows with it.
And,
like,
and he looks around and they're all like that.
They're all, yep.
And they're all like, hi, Mikey. And then he's like,
Marco with the hi, Michael.
Shit.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? And Michael looks scared shit.
Yeah.
He's like, oh my, what the fuck? But at the same token, he's looking at them like, oh my God. But I'm sure he's wondering, why aren't you attacking me? Like,
well, I don't know if because when he finally puts it together and he sees them all, they take off.
Yeah.
And he's in the tree, like what am I gonna do? But he's watching what's happening.
Yeah, and he was
they wanted him to watch because they wanted to show him this is what life is now.
Yeah, but it was also like weird because he's getting like not turned on.
No, but he's changing because the bloodlust in him is growing because he needs to do that. He needs to feed, like David says. So he doesn't mean to, but it happens because his adrenaline's rushing. And when that, like, remember, like in Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox.
It's just weird because again, if as a man, as an adult, I always say this as an adult, when you're watching this, it's weird because he's like starting to sweat. Again, the bloodlust. That's a perfect.
Well,
perfect
that's
thing.
what it is. He's getting.
But like he's like, and he's like wiping his nose, but he's like grinding his teeth on his tongue.
He's trying not to join them.
It's so weird.
It's not weird. It's part of the movie. That's what it's necessary. What are you talking about weird? Why is that weird?
It's just weird.
But how? He's holding back.
You can refrain yourself by holding onto the branches and stuff and trying to. Why do you got to bite your fingers? Why do you got to lick your fingers?
Who are you to tell him how to be an actor?
It's weird.
It's not weird. It's actually necessary to show you how difficult it is to not join them and attack these guys on the beach.
I mean, listen,
because that's what's in him now.
Let me ask you your opinion.
No, not only that. When he goes to attack Sam, remember when he feels it, that thirst again coming up, and he's in the kitchen drinking the milk out of the cart, and he slams it down, and he's like, in pain, and he knows like. He's directed towards Sam, like he has no choice. He's trying to stop himself, but he can't. And then when he goes up to the door and he puts his hands on it, like it's his human self and his vampire self fighting one another. And he has to show that. He has to show you that he's wrestling with this and he's trying to stop himself because Michael's still in there.
Yeah, he is.
And that's the idea. That's the whole thing. So when he does that and then he opens the door and it's almost like the vampire's winning. And if not for Nanook to knock him out of it, to attack him.
Dog ever.
Not but because just like Max's Thorn is the Hound from Hell, Nanook is the opposite. Nanook is a protector. And he's there and he's protecting Sam. And even though he knows Michael and Michael's his owner too, he knows that that's not Michael and he attacks him because he's going to hurt Sam.
Yep.
Everyone else in that movie, that dog is cool as fuck too.
Yeah.
But once Michael tries to attack Sam, he knows it's going to happen. He senses it, the dog, because dogs can sense shit. You know how dogs are anyway, animals itself. Sam's sitting there, ain't got a man, doing his hair and shit, all this fucking sing-along, and he's in the water. And Nanook's like, what the fuck is that? He knows something's up. And then once Michael grabs that door, he starts barking. And then when he opens the door, it's almost like the vampire's taking over. He's giving in because he has to.
To his own brother,
he
no
has
less.
to. Yeah, but in his mind, the real Michael knows that, but the vampire part of him is like, fuck you, I gotta eat somebody. So he's going after him, and if not for the dog, he would have killed Sam.
Let me ask you this, your opinion.
Yeah.
Would you have joined the Lost Boys?
Absolutely.
Yeah, fuck that.
I would have drank anybody's blood they fucking wanted me to.
Fuck that.
Give me your blood, his blood, her blood. I don't give a fuck.
I could see
Let's do it.
generations from years to come.
Man.
Never have to be. Well, here's the fucked up thing. If obviously I'm not married anymore, you are.
Yeah.
So you'd have to leave your wife. You have to leave everybody else because they're all gonna die.
Yeah. Well, that's the sad part of becoming.
That's the sad part. But
the loneliness obviously is.
But now think of the whole thing of, dude, you're never gonna die unless someone kills you. Like,
and
obviously.
They have to know the right way to do it.
And they have to know the right way to do it. But you're never going to grow old and you're never going to die. Mm-hmm. You have to feed.
That's one of the...
You get to change with all the times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about it, but like, no one can really stop you. You can fly.
You're strong as fuck.
You're strong as fuck.
Yep. You don't have to go food shopping.
I mean, if a head vampire or a leader of a vampire pack says, you're either fucking dead or I could turn you right now and give you the...
I'll take it.
Turn me.
You want to know something?
I'll turn my whole family.
That's the whole...
I'll turn my whole fucking family.
That's the sensuality of being a vampire. It's because that's why I think a lot of people think vampires are sexy too. And that this movie
I'd be a sexy vampire.
See, the only problem is, like, if you get turned now, you stay this way forever. So you're gonna have to stay. You can't go on a diet, or I
can't lose weight.
No. You got to do that first, and then become a vampire.
Maybe if I become a vampire, maybe I'll turn like really muscular.
Nobody has ever done that.
Maybe you never know. I'll be the first.
When you get turned into a vampire,
you're the first vampire with weight loss.
No, you know how many people it would take to feed you?
Oh, that's yeah, because I'm fat. But
you have to attack the surf Nazis. Wait,
you too?
Me too.
You too. Fuck out of here.
Fuck
out of here.
We would have to go and
Two fat fucking vampires.
We would have to go to like an amusement park. Like we'd have to go to Six Flags and start eating people.
Yeah.
Just like a buffet for us. We'd have no choice.
We'd just find one real fat fuck and then we'll just feast on him.
We could do that too. Yeah, but I mean, if you wanted to really be a vampire, like the appeal is fucking tremendous. Like, of course, I'm married, so I would see my family go, but then you'd always have the opportunity to make new ones. Like when you lose friends or you move away, you make new friends.
Or like I said, you could turn them.
You kind of forget. Yeah, you could do that too, but then not everybody might feel the same way you do. But that's kind of selfish then, because you're only turning them so they stay with you.
Too bad.
Fuck them.
Too bad.
Do what I want. But yeah, if I had to choose, I would definitely choose to be one. Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
My whole life, I've always felt that way.
Without a doubt. Yeah, but you can never walk during the day anymore.
That's all right.
Yeah, fuck it.
Oh, here's a shit. I don't go out in the sun anyway because I freckle and I blister and shit. I have fair skin. I can't do that. But it wouldn't bother me at all. I stay inside with the AC all day long, play video games.
I'm gonna make a poll about this. We'd
be sleeping. We'd be asleep during the day.
I'm gonna make a poll about this. Would you like to be a vampire?
Would you like to be a vampire? Yeah, just a yes or no.
Yeah, just a yes or no. Like, would you like to be a vampire?
And in the comments, write why.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I like that idea. Good idea.
Actually, they wouldn't be able to write comments in the story because the poll would be on the story.
Well, then but then you could do a post about it too. Like
I could. You have to learn how to use Instagram, motherfucker.
I know how to use it, but I can't do it like you do all day long. I don't have the time to do that. I'm at work, dude. I
don't have the time. I make the time.
No, yeah, but I can't. I can't make the time during the day.
Why not? You can cut steaks and fucking post.
No, I can't. That's why sometimes it takes me a while to answer you back and shit like that because I constantly got to stop what I'm doing. I got to wash my hands. I got blood all over me. It sucks.
You sure you're not a vampire now?
I'm not.
You don't get turned on by the blood? You don't have any bloodlust in you?
No, sir. Not that I'm aware of. Nah, sorry.
So, all right. By the way, I'm not going to do any ads in this show. I figured for the Lost Boys, let's just make it ad-free.
Okay.
I'd probably do an anchor one at the beginning. So if anybody listening to this, there probably will be an anchor ad at the beginning because they want us to put that in there because it's hosting. So... No, we'll edit it, but it's got to be. I'll put it at the beginning, and it'll just be
whatever
once.
you want to do.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
So let's just make this ad free.
I don't want to do because we interrupt ourselves and then we kind of lose track of where we were, and then we got to get back into it because we sidetrack a lot anyway. We start talking about something and then we start another conversation. So
yeah. So
I just wanted to.
What I will say is, let's take a 2-minute break.
Okay.
And then once we come back, we'll pick up from there, and then we'll just regather everything, and then we'll come back. All right.
Okay.
All right, we are back.
We are finally back.
Yeah, that was a nice break.
It's a cool break. I love that song, man. I have that all over my fucking gym playlist and shit. Play it at work all the time.
So good.
It's awesome.
So we left off with talking about Michael seeing the killing for the first time and then letting him know that what he is now.
Yep.
But before we talk about that, because as you and I were just on break, we were just talking about how we didn't talk about
the floating scene,
how he was floating while he was sleeping after he got bit by Nanook.
After Nanook, we talked about that and we jumped the gun a little bit. But after that happens, Sam runs into his room and I guess tries to call.
He tried to call his mom because she was going to have a date with Max.
Yes, but she was out at the restaurant and I guess Sam says, "You wait till mom finds out, buddy." I guess he was calling to tell on him. But then Michael wraps his hand up. He goes to lay down in his room to just try to calm down and his heart's pounding and everything. And then Lucy calls him back. But during that time, Sam's afraid and everything, but Michael's asleep, so he starts floating.
And he hits the ceiling
and he wakes up with his face in the ceiling.
He doesn't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, so he tries to gather his bearings a little bit he realizes he's floating now in the ceiling. He's trying to get back down to the ground and he's grabbing a bunch of shit. And he opens the blinds and everything and he ends up out the window and he grabs onto the phone, and now Sam's on the phone with his mom because she calls and Sam, is everything all right? And he says we have to really have a really long talk about Michael. And she's like, why, what's going on or whatever? And then he's floating across Sam's fucking window. His feet are floating and shit.
He realizes that Sam's on the phone and he's talking. He says, and he
don't
hears
listen to him. Mom, don't listen. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's crazy.
He's like, shut up, Sam.
Shut up, Sam.
And then he's like, oh, Ma, he's going to kill me.
He's like, she's like,
oh my God.
Yeah, oh my God. He's going to get me.
He's going to get me. And she actually just ends up leaving. Now, let's talk about the fact that how the fucking, she didn't have any decency to say to the waiter or whoever the host is,
let my date know.
Yeah, nothing. So he looks out the window and sees, and he's like, what the fuck?
Well, she thinks her son's being attacked by somebody and she doesn't know what's going on.
And I wonder if Max thinks
he did.
Like something happened. Obviously, did David do some shit?
Yeah, maybe.
Like what the fuck did he do?
Could be.
So, that scene of him floating, right away now oh shit, something's up. Because again, this is before we were talking about with him seeing the killing and him not knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
Now he sees it all.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh shit, so...
It's all connecting. But he doesn't know about vampires or anything yet.
No, he doesn't know. He doesn't know he could fly. He doesn't know anything.
He doesn't know what they are or anything like that yet. So he's like all confused about this shit.
And I'm assuming that the reason why he was floating is because when they sleep, he's supposed to be upside down.
I guess so. I guess he's supposed to be up
higher. And
maybe.
Maybe his body, it was just basically
a natural thing
to go up and to go upside down.
But he wasn't upside down. I mean, he was like flat. I guess, I don't know.
I don't know, because it's weird, because then when he goes into the cave to look for Star, she's sleeping on a bed.
She's in a bed. Yeah,
and
but
so
she's also not a full vampire
Neither
either.
Is he.
So, yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is an instinct, or maybe, I don't know. I would have assumed the same thing you did. Same, like they're supposed to be upside down or floating or whatever. So
or in a coffin, at least.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the coffin being closed is what stops them from floating. They just hit the top of the coffin.
It's possible.
So they just stay where they are. I don't know.
But I just thought that scene, like me and you were talking, I think that scene was like really, really cool because of the fact that we actually start to see, because even as we know there's something up with these guys. They don't really come out and say, oh, they're vampires. We see them fly and take people, and do shit like that. Well,
we don't see them fly and take people. We know somebody was dragged up into the air, but we don't know what's going on.
And it has to have something to do with these guys.
Yeah, well, they're the main antagonists of the movie so far, so yeah.
So now we see Michael floating, and obviously when she said, don't drink that wine, it's blood.
Yeah.
And obviously it's blood. Now the audience knows it's fucking blood.
Yep.
You fucking idiot. You're
It
going to sit
was
there and
blood.
fucking drink the blood of
You
some
didn't listen
fucking
to
idiot.
that piece of ass, you stupid moron.
Exactly. So after all that happens, obviously we skipped that a little bit. We went to talk about how now Michael found out what he was.
The attack on the beach with the surf Nazis and
Yes.
now you know what we are. Now we know. Yeah, we did all that.
So he promised Sam that he was going to find out everything and
Yes.
he's going to take care of it.
Yeah.
So now, fast forward to the scene where after he saw the killing, Sam is putting away the owl.
Yeah, he's asleep
Right?
in
Or-
his room. It's an
yeah,
owl.
it's an owl.
Is it
It's
an
an-
owl
I
or the
think it's an
beaver
owl
or
or
something?
something.
I think it's the owl.
I think it's the owl
He
this
wakes
time.
up and the thing is there and he's like, scares the shit out
And
of
he
him.
puts it in the closet. And when he
grabs it
closed
to-
the door,
Michael's
there goes
standing there.
Michael.
Yeah.
And he says, "I know what I am now, Sam. You know, we're gonna have a plan or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be." And then you hear Michael out the window.
Somebody out the window.
And then they look outside and it's Star.
Can I come up?
And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Is she one of them?" And he's like, "No, let's get away from the
then-
window." And then she comes right up, and he's like, "Yep, she's one of them."
And don't tell me that doesn't make her a bad person, Mike.
Yep,
Corey Haim is so good in this movie, though. Honestly,
he is. Except for when he's wearing those fucking weird pajamas.
Yeah, he wears a lot of weird shit and
Dude,
everything.
he's wearing
and he's
like
a little
pajamas with stick figures on them. I know it's the times,
Yeah, and he's supposed to be like.
but I would have
14.
fucking
I
like
don't know.
14 years old.
Right,
I wouldn't
listen,
have
we
been
wore some crazy, stupid shit when we were 14. Not like that though.
not like that. I wasn't wearing fucking red and blue and pinks fucking stick figures.
But they were from a different town. Like they were from Arizona.
I'm not even going to mention the fact that he had a Rob Lowe fucking poster on his wall.
He did, and like a
With
belly shirt, Rob too.
like,
That's kind of
feeling
weird.
his stomach up.
Yeah, I
whatever.
don't know. Were there any girls on his wall? Any posters?
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
I mean, it would explain some things. No, but
yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so after that happens, he says, "I have connections."
yeah,
Calls up the Frog Brothers.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a vampire, all right.
Yeah.
Now get a good sharp stake.
Drive it
right through his
through
heart. He's my brother. I can't do that. So
Kill your brother.
Yeah, kill
You'll
your
feel
brother.
better.
You'll feel better. I just feel like, that says a lot about the character. He's like, I can't do that. He's my brother.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the conflict too, because the only solution to get rid of a vampire is really to kill him. So he doesn't want to do that. So they got to find a way around this now somehow.
Yeah. So, after that, they decide to take matters in their own hands.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls them up. They come over. They're going to go to that cave.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't know about you. At that age, I wouldn't have had the balls to do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not.
No.
What possessed these two fucking kids?
I'm going to be like, sometimes you got to be a vampire. I don't know. It's none of my business.
Yeah,
you know?
it's none of my
Sometimes
fucking
you gotta
business.
kill some people.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that noise.
My brother's a vampire. Cool.
Yeah, I'm not. Fuck
At least
that.
just leave me alone.
So they go to the cave, and right away, their first instinct was to kill Laddie and to kill Star.
Well,
He's like,
Michael,
don't you touch her.
You stay away from her.
Yeah, obviously now that's his. He had
Yeah.
that ass, so he's
Yeah.
not. Don't touch
Well,
that.
he knows she's not a full vampire either, and he also wants to save her, wants to help her. So
He's also thinking about the ass.
well, yeah, because if she's not a vampire anymore, like they're gonna be good. They're looking to get rid of their problem, which is David and the boys. Mm-hmm. So Michael doesn't know anything about Max. So Michael thinks, well, earlier on when they invite Max to dinner with the whole "you're invited" thing, Sam and the boys have an idea that it has to be a head vampire. And the solution to this is if we kill the head vampire, all half vampires return to normal.
Which is why they suspected
Max to begin with.
Which that was the night that he wanted to go find Star.
He was going to leave
with David. Yes.
He puts the candle out with his fingers, which I still do to this day, by the way.
Yeah, he puts the candle out with his fingers. Yeah.
I only do that because I saw it in the fucking movie, and I still do it.
Yeah, it's and that's such a classic scene
when he's zipping up his coat.
He's zipping up his coat,
and he's getting ready to go.
Yeah, and he looks pale.
And he's all sweaty and
he's
shit.
He's all sweaty. And he closes the candle out with his hands.
Yep.
And then there's a knock at the door, and he opens it up.
Michael was just about to leave,
and he looks at him.
Yeah. I don't think Max even got a chance to knock at the door. I think he opened it while Max was just showing up. Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, you must be Michael." He's like, "And you must be Max." And then he says, yeah. And then obviously what he says after that, is...
Well, you're the man of the house, and I'm not coming in until you invite me.
You're invited.
Now, remember what we were talking about during the break is that his voice is changing, obviously. It's like dark. Mm-hmm. It's not like it was at the beginning of the movie where he's like, "You're invited." Like, it's a crackling, and it's just more, not hoarse, I want to say, but it's like deeper. Because, again, he's vamping a little bit there.
I think it's mostly just being kind of sarcastic to him because he knows he wants to bang his mom. And he's kind of indifferent about that, and he's not going to stop his mom from having a relationship because he's kind of got bigger problems on his hands right now, so he doesn't really want to get involved in his mother's possible relationship. So he's kind of like, I don't care about this right now, so I'm not coming until you invite me. And Max is trying to be like playful, but he's not, because Max has ulterior motives because he wants to protect himself. So Michael's like, okay, you're invited. Come in. I got shit to do. So get out of my way. That
whole scene when they come in and they don't know that it rendered him powerless.
Nope. I never knew that. I mean, I don't know if that's an actual vampire thing, mythology, but that was kind of cool.
It was kind of cool because they're sitting there. They're like, they're pouring the garlic. He's like, "I'll tell you, have some more Parmesan cheese." And he's like, "Oh, it's not cheese, it's garlic. It's raw garlic." Says, garlic. How'd that get in there?
Cheese. Yeah, and she's like, Sam graded himself. My son, the chef.
Yeah.
My son. And she goes, the budding chef of the family. Everything's of the family. I hated that.
Yeah.
To me, I was like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah, because he obviously is head vampire, so it's his family.
He needs and obviously they would need a chef,
Budding chef of the family. Yeah. So then instead of grating cheese, he's going to grate like balls and arms and fingers.
I don't know how that works.
That works either.
And it's cool because they set up all these little gimmicks to try to catch him and to try to prove that he's a vampire. And they put the garlic and the Parmesan cheese and they give it to him and he eats it and starts choking. And they says, quick, drink some water. And it's holy water. And he spills it in his lap and nothing happens.
Does it burn?
Does it burn? No, it's cold. It's
freezing.
It's freezing. And then they get the lights. He shut the lights off, and then
they put the mirror in his face.
Frog Brothers, remember, they put the lights out with their fingers also, the candles, and then they have the mirror in his face. Quick, turn the light. They turn the lights on. He sees his reflection. They put the mirror in the face, and he sees his reflection. Yeah. And he says, "I'm not trying to replace your father." The funny part of that is when he goes, "Stop it!" So he goes, "I see what's going on here," and they're like,
"You do?
You do?" And he's like, "Yes, I do." And it's,
Meanwhile, he really knew.
He knew, but he was, that's the thing with them. But like us, as the viewers, we didn't know. We're like, oh, fuck, it's that. Then who the hell is it? It's got to be David, because you're thinking it's David.
Now it's definitely David.
And they were like, I'm not trying to replace your father or take your mother away from you. I just want to be your friend.
Yep.
And they're like, dude, we fucked up. You know what I mean?
Major mistake.
Yep. And then, then fast forward, Michael, that's when he goes, isn't that when he goes to...
Well, he goes to the board. No, he goes to the. Well, we're all assuming he must have went to the cave and she wasn't there. So now he goes to the boardwalk and he finds the boys.
Yeah, and he's looking for Star.
Right. He was going to see.
He was going to look for Star, and he finds David and the boys instead.
Correct.
And he says, if you ever want to see Star again, Michael, you're going to come with us right now.
Correct. And then they go. He takes him to the beach, and that's when they did all the thing which we already spoke about. Now, after that, he knows what he is. That's when the next day, and he says, I have connections, and that's when Star asks for help from Michael. She flies up to the window, which we just spoke about, because we backtracked again.
Yeah.
Now, because we're all over the fucking place. Dude, it's just so many good scenes in this movie.
I know, it's hard to remember. Like, we're getting excited about talking about one thing, and then we go ahead and we jump to something else that we really love. And like, we're talking about our favorite scenes essentially, but we're trying to do it in order, and it's not really working out so well. We're just talking about our favorite shit. So just talk about your favorite shit. That's all anybody even cares about anyway. If anybody wanted us to talk about or critique the movie in order, I mean, they could just watch the movie themselves. But
that is true.
We're really just talking about our favorite scenes in the movie.
But now they're going back to... After, they show you him, the killing scene, and he turned in, he knows what he is now and everything. She asks for help. Don't kill anybody till we get back to you.
Yeah.
Now, the Frog Brothers are coming over. They're going to get holy water and fucking everything else that they're doing. And they end up jumping in the grandfather's car to go to the cave.
Grandpa's okay if we borrow your car?
Yes.
Just take it.
Yeah, they just take it, and he just didn't say anything.
Yeah.
And then they see where the vampires are.
Yeah.
So they obviously Michael goes to bring up Star and Laddie.
And then he stops them, the Frog Brothers, from
from trying
going to don't stay away from her, and then they go look around for the rest of them, and they just...
And then he looks up and he's like, the smell in here.
Yeah.
Because it's like one giant coffin. And they finally look up and do that scene when they look up and they see all the vampires, like all four of them.
Hanging.
You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like you didn't realize, obviously... you think about it. They're in that cave, but where do they all sleep? Like, what do they all do? Because
it's one giant coffin. It's just one
coffin. They just hang there.
Yep.
And of course, see, to me, if I was doing something like that, wouldn't you have tried to kill David first?
I don't know, because they said that they don't know which one is the head vampire. And there's no way to There's no way to know who the vampire is, so let's just kill them all. They didn't realize, like, once they stabbed one, it would cause such a commotion that they would all wake up. Like, I guess they weren't thinking about that. Don't forget, they're just kids. They're trying their best.
So they obviously take the youngest one out, which was Marco.
Yeah, they started with the small. Let's go from
and they stabbed him.
Made the wrong choice.
They made the definite wrong choice.
Yeah.
And then he bleeds all over the fucking place.
Yeah, he's like exploding out of his chest everywhere.
It didn't even look like blood.
No, it was like
it looked like gasoline.
Yeah.
It was gross. And then you got David up there going, "You're dead meat."
Yeah,
which I haven't heard a line like that since the 80s. You're dead meat.
You don't say it no more. But it also, he's gonna eat them. So
you're dead meat. Yeah, I guess
he's not wrong.
And then he, drops down. They're running, and I thought it was such a really cool thing that he goes to like grab Sam's leg, and he's trying to pull him, but when they pull him into the sunlight, his arm goes up into flames, and you can see like his nails and his arm is like getting burned or whatever, and those contacts, the fact that because they couldn't wear the contacts in their eyes for so long.
Yep.
It dried out Kiefer's eyes, and the tear just dropped.
That comes out was from the contacts burning the shit out of his eyes.
And the fact that they left that in because it showed that he was like really in pain, so he like kind of teared. But the voiceover, what does the voiceover say? What does he say?
Night.
Yeah. Like wait till tonight.
We're gonna wait because we know where you live, motherfucker.
Exactly. We know you know what the fuck's coming.
Yep.
So get fucking ready.
Yep.
And then,
just like Ace says to him, like, we're not going to forget this.
Yeah.
We're coming after you.
Dude, there's a lot of connections.
It mirrors the same thing, like the end scene in Stand By Me with them. It always just reminds me of that, and it just happened to be the same actor, which is kind of cool.
Now, Sam tries to go to the video store and tell his mom. Obviously, Max is not there again, fucking sleeping in his coffin, right, in his house. And then they're on their own. And then they go back to the house. They start to get ready for a bunch of shit.
They load up.
They
with
everything.
Get all the holy water from the. They interrupt the baby's baptism. They run in there and they the people are in there and they're looking at them, and they're filling their guns up, water guns up, and and then it gives them a thumbs up, and then they leave and they run out and they're smashing all that whole setup scene was really, really cool. How they set up the house.
Garlic. He's smashing the garlic up. They're closing the windows. They're locking everything up.
Yep.
And then afterwards, everything, like they're getting ready because it's nighttime now. And then, of course, Corey Feldman with his fucking speech, his vampire talk. And then the whole thing, I mean, we have it here where it's just...
Some explode, some implode.
Yeah,
But all try to take you with them.
When a vampire bites it, it's never a pretty sight. No two bloodsuckers go out the same way. Some yell and scream, some go quietly. Some explode, some implode. But all will try to take you with them.
And that's the funny thing about it is that, like, that's one quote that people love from that movie. Some explode, some implode. But it's just, and he says it in the sequel too, which...
Yeah, but it's kind of foreshadowing of the
first movie, obviously.
Yeah, well, no, not the sequel. I mean, when he says that in this movie, like that's what we were talking about just now with Marco. When he stabbed him, he didn't know what to think. He didn't know if he was going to go quietly or whatever else. But they're willing to take their chances. Like he knew that already. So he knew going into it, like we're going to try to off him and we're going to kill one and he may be quiet and maybe we'll get to another one. He wouldn't know what's going to happen. Yeah. But he was warning them. I feel like he should have warned them first before going to the cave.
Oh,
but that's okay. But also it's like I said about the foreshadowing for later on in the ending of the movie, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
And then, they're coming, but they leave Nanook outside.
By accident, yeah. He's tied to the fence.
And that poor dog. Poor Nanook. After he fucking saved his Sam and he leaves him tied up. What a fucking asshole.
Son of a bitch, man.
What a fucking asshole. And then they run outside. And then they're coming. You hear the bat sounds. The fucking bat. Dude, that's what it sounds like to me, bats.
Yeah,
that's
what it was.
Yeah. And then they're running, and of course, the whole 80s. Oh, you got to fall.
Yeah. Yep.
You got to fall.
Yep, they slip and fall.
Slip and fall. You got to fall.
Yep.
They run. Oh, everyone. Oh, they're coming. Yeah. Michael, they're coming. And then they come up through the chimney.
And they just make it into the house. And they go off, and that's like you said. Like
he comes up through the chimney.
Yeah, yeah.
So they come up through the chimney. Obviously, Dwayne kicks Michael in the face, and they both fall. Him and Sam fall over onto the floor, and then they get upstairs, And as soon as the Frog
Well,
Brothers,
the Frog Brothers go upstairs
with
and
Star
with
and
Star and
Laddie.
Laddie.
He's like, I think we should terminate them right now. And she's like, Laddie,
and then
run.
she takes Laddie and they chase her through the house, and then she
Paul.
runs through the bathroom and Paul's behind the bathroom door,
Yes,
and he
you're
shuts
mine.
the door.
You killed Marco. And he's like, yeah, and you're next.
No, you're next. And
Your garlic doesn't work, boys.
Yeah, but try holy water, death breath.
Dude, that death breath.
Yep.
Fucking death breath is such a fucking awesome
and
fucking
they just
name
fucking
call.
scoop it out into his face.
And it
then,
burns him.
Yeah, but it didn't kill him, and they're like, oh shit, what
they
now?
They fell because they fall on the floor. And then, you got two of them on the floor like a bunch of pussies.
And then he's coming up to them.
He's about to. He's like, his hands are going to he's going to fucking tear them apart.
And who saves the day again?
Fucking Nanook.
Comes out of nowhere and fucking jumps on him and throws him in the tub.
Nanook. That dog.
Love that dog.
Balls of steel.
Yeah, man. He wasn't afraid of no fucking vampires. He doesn't give a shit.
Doesn't give a shit. Well, he's got fangs too.
He's a tough fucking dog, man. He's a tough bastard.
He got fucking fangs too.
He's doing his job, man. He's protecting the family.
Yeah, I mean
that's what his job is.
That's what his job was. Now you got Paul in the fucking water.
Melting.
How scared I was when the Frog Brothers get up and they look at the tub and then he pops up. Dude, I think I shit my pants more than once during that fucking... anytime I saw it as a kid, I always shit my pants with that fucking scene. Because it's scary. He jumps up and he just like comes out. You didn't need that extra scare.
He's all melted up and shit.
He's all melted up and shit. You didn't need that. I didn't need that fucking heart attack.
And then after he completely melts and you see the skeleton.
The skeleton, but with the fangs.
The water, I guess, is...
The water.
It starts going down the drain and it hits the pipes
blood.
and the pipes start blowing up everywhere and everything. But that's like what... Edgar Frog, right? He's Edgar, Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman's
was talking about before, like how a vampire bites is. Some implode, some explode, some go quietly. But you notice Marco, like spewing shit everywhere out of him, and he's like flipping out on the floor like a fish out of water. And Paul in the tub, that happens, but just his blood in the holy water going down the drains just start exploding, and just this water comes shooting out of everywhere, out of all the drains in the whole house. It's like the house ends up getting like possessed somehow by his blood or some shit.
And then after all that, now they cut to the floor scene where Dwayne was and all that. And by the way, I guess Dwayne, bro, not for nothing. This is what kind of bothered me. And again, I'm not a critic, but at the same time, this kind of bothered me because while all that was going on, which took about a good 7 to 8 minutes.
Yeah, but these things are supposed to be happening at the same time.
Right, but now check this out. Okay, so it's happening at the same time, right? But at the same time, Michael and Sam are on the floor.
Yeah.
Dwayne is nowhere to be found.
Well, they're not on the floor. Michael is unconscious.
So is Sam.
So Sam, this is the thing, but it's a movie. So what you have to understand is when Dwayne comes up and he kicks Michael, he grabs onto the chandelier, right? He kicks Michael and Sam or whatever. They fall down. That stuff is happening, like him coming up out of the thing is happening at the same time as the Frog Brothers ran away. So their interaction with Paul is happening at that time, but the interaction with Dwayne is happening at that time also, but they can't show you them like split screen. So what they do is they go from there. It's not like, okay, guys, this happened and now this happens after. It didn't happen after. It's taking place at the same time.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
They all ran from them at the same time and they all attacked them at the same time.
But that's not my problem is that he knocked him out.
Yeah.
Right? Now they're on the but now he's nowhere to be found.
Well, he's hiding.
So he's waiting, I guess, for them to get up.
Maybe.
And then he comes down, he grabs Sam. Sam's got the water gun full of fucking holy water. Shoots him in the face. He drops Sam. Which, by the way, looked like a fucking tall drop.
But yeah, I guess
it broke my fucking legs.
I don't know how big that room was. A pretty big room. But again, like I said about those two things happening at the same time, like Dwayne comes up, kicks them, boom. As that happens, they're on the floor. And now you see the scene with Paul dying and all that shit. But then Sam doesn't get knocked out. Sam gets hurt. He falls down, but he goes over and realizes Michael's unconscious, and he goes to he grabs the lamp because he's like, oh shit, like Michael's unconscious. What am I going to do? So now he's not protected. He's by himself pretty much. So he gets the lamp and he's looking around.
And that's when Dwayne comes down.
But this is what I'm trying to say. That didn't happen 10 minutes after Paul died. That happened at the same time. So it seems like the way you watch it.
It seems
but
like
it's
that,
not.
yeah.
It happened at the same time. And he kicks them and boom, Michael falls down and now Dwayne goes and hides and Sam's on the floor and Sam gets up like, oh shit, what happened? Michael, get up. Like, holy shit. It's literally seconds because he just kicks them. And then Sam grabs the thing, and then that's when Dwayne comes and grabs Sam, because now Michael's knocked out. I'm gonna go after Sam, and he does, and that's when he brings Sam up and whatever he's gonna do, and then Sam squirts him.
I mean, I guess
it
at
wasn't
this
like
point,
Michael was unconscious for 20 minutes, and Dwayne was just sitting there waiting for them to wake up.
I mean, if you think about it, Max wanted Lucy really bad.
Yeah, he thought she was a piece of ass.
Yeah, but now think about it. At this point, it wasn't. David really didn't give a fuck about obviously killing Michael or Sam. Like you said,
that's what I talked about at the beginning.
He didn't give a shit
earlier.
at that point, because now it was fair game.
It's competition.
Yeah, it's fair
That's
game.
what Michael
and if
was to
Sam,
him.
And if Sam dies, he dies.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was cool. Like they had little gadgets with the water gun, and then Sam had to use the bow and arrow. He had to use the bow and arrow, and as Dwayne is flying towards him,
He shoots and he misses.
which he shoots and he misses, and he gets up and he says,
You missed, sucker.
Yeah, only once, pal. And then he shoots him, and he fucking goes right into the radio.
Yep.
Now, he's fucking like flipping out, and he's fucking getting electrocuted and everything. But the fact that he explodes, again, what Edgar said,
Yes.
some implode,
Some explode. It happens. Yep.
But I think that the line, which was just so cool for Corey Haim to actually say,
Death by stereo.
Yep.
awesome, death by stereo.
Yep.
Just a great, clever line.
I thought it was funny.
Because think about it. He was killed by a fucking
Well, he
death
wasn't.
by
He was
stereo.
killed by an arrow through the heart. But I think he should have said death in stereo. I think that would have been a better line.
Well, I guess death by
Stereo didn't kill him. The arrow through the heart killed him.
Death by stereo.
And
yeah.
he was dying, and he exploded like he probably would have even if he wasn't impaled up against the stereo. But it's a memorable scene. It's a memorable line. I loved it.
They go upstairs, obviously, right? Michael, obviously now they go upstairs and see all the blood and shit. Yeah. And then they
realize the kitchen is in chaos because of Paul's.
And then they go upstairs. Well, Sam runs upstairs. Michael is going to get ready to go upstairs, and David flies down and pushes Michael down the stairs.
Yeah.
And he breaks the fucking, the
banister.
The banister, yeah. I was going to say the newel post, like fucking...
Fix the newel post.
Fix the newel post. Man, when Christmas comes around, we got to do that one.
We will.
Christmas Vacation, that's fantastic. So he... Sam goes upstairs, meets with the Frog Brothers, who think that's, now you got fucking Laddie underneath the bed.
Yep.
Bloodlust underneath there.
Yep.
Bloodlust. I like that. Bloodlust. He's bloodlusting and turning himself on underneath the fucking the bed.
He needs to eat some Frog Brothers.
Yeah, and he's growling underneath there.
Yep.
I always found it funny, and they talked about this on the DVD, when he rips up through the bed. If you notice, Jamie Newlander, Corey Feldman, and Corey Haim, when that happens, they had the blower going up and everything was coming up, and all three boys were supposed to have their eyes open while screaming to look at them. But they couldn't because all the shit was going in their eyes, and they fall back. Now you got Laddie jumping up and stepping all over them, and of course Alan Frog, Jamie Newlander, his line, "Holy shit, the attack of Eddie Munster!"
Yeah,
the attack of Eddie Munster.
Yep,
awesome, just really awesome. Now you see this little fuck in the corner.
Yeah. And with all the makeup on, like all the growling. Yeah, man, it was so cool.
I would have said,
he's just a little boy, like she says.
Fuck that kid.
I like that when she comes in. Yeah, I would have fucking killed him too.
Yeah, he's just a little boy.
He's back there in the corner because he's
growling and everything.
He's still a kid. He's all like vamped out and shit, and he wants to, but he's still kind of like just a kid, and he realizes. So he's like in the corner, like
He's like, what do I do?
He was still kind of threatened by them, but he was kind of being intimidating. And when they go after him, she opens the door and she says, "Stay away from him. He's just a little boy," and he's like trying to get at them, and they're like, "Fuck you, little guy."
Yeah, but
he's like,
but the thing is, she's not afraid of him, and she's holding him. And he's not attacking her.
He's not going to attack her because she's a vampire. Also, she's also somebody who he cares about. He's not going to go after her to drink her blood because she's a vampire.
He's going after them.
Yeah.
And now...
Well, now he's only going after them because she's holding him back.
Yeah.
She's like guarding him, and now he's like, yeah, I'm going to get you. Because at first he was like up against the wall, like, like being all and scary and shit. And there's three of them, and he wasn't going after them then, but...
He's such a pussy.
But he's a little boy. He's 10. He's 10 years old.
Fuck him.
But what the fuck are you talking? What are you
Vampire
saying?
Bullshit? I'd fucking kill him.
You would
Fuck
not.
That.
He would fucking bite your dick off.
He probably would. Be a tasty meal.
It's an appetizer. The tasty appetizer.
Whatever. Listen, great scene. Now we're going to the finale there.
Well, here we go.
The finale, baby, with the fucking David and Michael. David, which is what we wanted to see the entire movie.
Yep.
Because you know for a fact, like we said, Michael is a threat to David, and David knows that. As strong as and powerful and cool as David may seem,
he knows that Michael can take him over. Michael's going to end up being a new leader because he's stronger than him. So he's got a stronger mind than him too.
Yeah, he does, for sure.
I think that's what David's insecurities are about. That's why he's got to kind of be a bully in a way. You know, because he is a bully, and
the fact that he's just flying all over the fucking room, and he's kicking him and scratching him.
He hits him, and then Michael's trying to get to him, and David's hiding, and he's hitting him without him seeing. Yeah. And then what does Michael say? He says, you know, you afraid to face me, David? Huh?
And he says, come on. He's like, and then he says to him, you know, I tried to make you immortal. And then he screams, you know, I tried to make you a killer, which...
you tried to make me a killer.
But the way he says it, the way Kiefer Sutherland, like, my hat's off to you, man, because the way...
Tried to make you immortal.
Yep.
You tried to make me a killer!
That laugh.
You are a killer.
Yeah, and you are a killer.
And then
he turns around.
Michael turns.
Dude, when he turned around, that reveal.
Man.
And then he starts laughing, and he laughs again because he's like, finally, you turn. And then blood drips down Michael's nose, and he licks it because he's getting some blood.
Well, it's his own. It's not the same, but still, he likes it makes for a good show. Yeah,
and then he
definitely
gets upset, and he jumps up into the air.
Yeah.
Now he could fly too.
And his anger, everything comes out. Now he's taking all that pent up frustration that he has in him, and he just throws it right at David finally, you know?
Back and forth, my turn. And then he goes there and he says, stop fighting me, Michael. I don't want to kill you. Join us. And he says, never.
He doesn't not want to kill him. He does want to kill him, but he can't.
Well, because
Max doesn't want him really to kill him, but he will if he has to.
Well, that leads to, pretty much this.
Too late, but blood is in your veins.
Soul is mine.
And then he just fucking throws David right on those antlers.
Yep. But he says, David does say, my blood is in your veins.
Yeah.
And we were
full of shit.
Well, we were debating before, talking about this. Like, whose blood did Michael drink? Was it Max's blood?
No. It was, I'm sorry, yes, it was David's blood. It was Max's blood.
Because
we established this.
He says to her, what I drink, and it wasn't wine, it was blood. It was David's blood. And she says, yeah.
No, she didn't say yes.
She didn't say no, it wasn't.
No, it was blood, but she didn't say it was David's blood. No, he did. He said that wasn't wine, it was blood. It was David's blood, he said.
He says that, and she confirms that.
But it wasn't, obviously.
How do you know? What do you keep saying obviously for? It's not. They're telling you why.
Why? Let's review this, shall we? You ready?
Well, this is what we were debating about before. But my point is, they're not filming this movie with a comic book in mind 15 years later.
Yeah, but then somebody fucked up.
No, they didn't. Because in the movie, we don't know how in this world vampires are turned. Just because David's not a half vampire, really. He's a full vampire because he's killed people before. So he can turn he can turn you now.
Okay, so let me ask you, if you die as a vampire.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you get killed.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a head vampire, you turn me, right?
Okay. If I'm a head vampire.
Right. If you turn me.
Okay.
If you die, what happens?
You turn back.
Right.
That's true.
Okay. So if David turned Michael, which we all thought he did, right? David got killed, in quote.
Right? That's my point.
Okay, so again,
why didn't Michael turn?
Why didn't Michael turn back? Michael only turned back, or they all did, because even Star says he's right. I don't feel different.
David wasn't the head vampire.
Right.
Okay.
So now, whose blood did
Michael,
they drink?
No,
unless it has something to do with the bloodline.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
It can go that way too.
Yes.
It could go that way.
It could have.
If you're really thinking about it, it wasn't David's blood.
If you kill the vampire whose blood you drank, you'll turn back. No, that's not how it goes. It's the head vampire in the bloodline. Because if Max turned David could have turned Dwayne, David could have turned Paul, David could have turned Marco, David could have turned Michael.
So they're not going to turn back human until Max is dead.
Yes, but Max could have turned David by biting him.
I guess.
David didn't necessarily have to drink Max's blood, right? I guess that makes sense.
I guess there's so many ways you can go about it.
But again, we can also go about the fact that we can also turn to this, like David didn't die.
Well, that's what and that wasn't known until the comics afterwards.
No, exactly.
But that's what I'm saying is if you really do pay attention, if you really do think about it the way that I was saying, that's why I said obvious, because if that was the case, if David really did turn Michael and Michael drank David's blood, if David was dead, like you said, they weren't thinking about doing this in the future.
No, they weren't.
If that was the case, then Michael would have turned back. And Star wouldn't have had pain anymore.
But David wasn't a head vampire, so it doesn't matter. Being a head vampire means you're turned in a different way.
Right. So by him drinking, but that's what I'm saying. Then wouldn't have Michael turned back? Yes, he would have turned back.
No, not if David dies.
If he drank David's blood.
Yeah, but he wasn't bit. See, the only way for Michael to become a full vampire was to kill somebody, right?
Yes, but that's not what made him, that's not what put him into the vampire first stage.
No, that's true. It's not. But again, like, depending on how he was turned,
dude, they actually answer it for you, because after Max dies, he turns back normal.
He does turn back normal.
Now here's the thing.
But I don't think it matters. Like you said, like the bloodline's there. So Max's blood is in David's veins.
Right. So what happens when David, again, because David was dead in the first movie.
Yeah, but
he's dead. What happens to David? Joe, what happens to David?
He's human again.
He's human again.
But he didn't die though initially. He still survived the impalement.
He did, but that's later. Like you just said yourself that they weren't planning that.
I understand that. They weren't planning that. But if Max made David differently than the other boys were made,
it's possible
David could pass on that bloodline because Max bit. This is why I'm saying we don't know how that happens in this movie. Like Interview with the Vampire. If you bite somebody, they're gonna die if they bleed out. They don't turn just from biting them.
Yeah.
You have to drink, in turn, also drink the blood of the vampire that bit you, right? So, but in other mythology, all a vampire has to do is bite you and not kill you, and you'll turn into a vampire.
I guess.
So this is what I'm trying to say. So I don't know what the folklore is in this movie. All we see is Michael turning into a vampire by drinking someone's blood. They do say that he says David's blood. I don't know if she says, yeah, it was David's blood. She doesn't say that. It might not be, but then again, she might not even know. But do you think they couldn't say, she couldn't have said, no, it was Max's blood? Like, no, because if she knew the bigger picture, she's under the assumption that it's David's blood too, right?
Yeah.
So here, this is my thought process on the whole thing. Star is also a half vampire. She has probably just been made not too long before Michael. Max has this plan. And Max, I don't know if he knew he was going to use Star as bait, which it seemed like it, because she kind of knows we're going to bait him in, right? So David's telling these guys what to do. But Max is the secret that David was protecting, which means David's the only one that knows about Max.
Right, he is the only one that knows about Max.
So David is getting these guys to drink this blood, which they think is his, but it's not. It's Max's blood. Okay? Star doesn't know who Max is. David is doing this whole thing like he has this plan, and he set it up obviously for Star to get Michael's attention, and that's what they were doing. But she kind of started to like Michael and knew what she was, knew she wasn't, because she was, see, and remember this too, Michael was supposed to be her first. So she was supposed to bite Michael. I don't know if that would have turned him, but she was supposed to turn full vampire because of that.
Right.
Now, if that's what David told her to get her to get close to Michael, but that wasn't what was supposed to happen, because Max was the one that was telling David, you got to get these boys in because this is the plan. But no one else knew who Max was.
Right.
Max was the secret David was protecting. So that means no one else knew about him. So again, she might have thought the blood was David's because everybody else did too. But it wasn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So again,
they just didn't get into that in the movie. But I mean, it's when you think about it and you try to put it all together, what you're saying makes sense. It should be Max's blood in all honesty. But they think it's David's because Paul, Dwayne, Marco, Star, Laddie, they don't know who Max is, but David does.
Well, that leads to what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
So again, there's so many different theories that you can actually put out there. My opinion, I think it was
Max's blood.
Max's blood.
It makes sense when you say it that way.
I think it was Max's blood
but
for sure.
The only way to explain Star not knowing is that she didn't know.
No,
like
she
she
didn't know.
said,
I don't think any of them knew.
That's what I'm saying. Michael's saying it was David's blood, and to Star's knowledge, it is.
Right.
But she didn't know about Max, so it couldn't have been David's blood. But David knew it wasn't his blood.
Right. David knew
because he was protecting Max's secret.
Yes.
And Star thought that Michael was meant to be her first to turn her, but she wasn't. She was supposed to be bait to get Michael and Sam to join the boys so that Max could force Lucy to join.
Which is why I said, like I said, that's just my opinion. I thought it was kind of obvious.
I agree. Oh, I don't think, dude, honestly, I don't think it was obvious because...
No, to me, I'm saying it was obvious because
Really?
now at the end, dude, as an adult, I'm watching this shit. And I'm like, okay, so obviously that's definitely Max's blood.
Well, but knowing, no, but,
I'm not talking about I'm talking about it now.
Yeah,
I'm saying back in the day.
No, of course not.
We didn't know that. That was fucking David's blood. Everybody was
But
drinking.
now assuming, but what you were saying before was like, all right, you're assuming it was Max's blood, which makes sense, but you're thinking that they fucked up. They made a mistake in the movie.
Well, it's either maybe it was a mistake.
I don't
or
think
wasn't.
it was a mistake.
I don't know, unless they didn't think about it that way.
Well, otherwise, why would Star say to David when she comes out of the side of the basement, basement?
Max.
She says it to Max. Yeah, you were the secret that David was protecting because there was obviously something. And he should. Yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
But then that means nobody knew who Max was because Star didn't know who Max was. And the boys, they do have interaction with him, but in the video store. And the guys, now David's the leader. So David is the guy controlling everything.
And he says, I told you guys not to come back in.
David kind of
looks at him,
gives him a grin.
Yeah, like.
But the boys think we're just in here to start trouble. But they're not. Unless
they do know. Again, there's so many things that we can there's so many theories. Maybe the boys do know, and they're all in on it. It's possible.
Then they would know that the blood is Max's, but Star wouldn't know. The important thing is Star didn't know. Right. Even if the boys knew, the boys might have known, that's fine. But Star didn't know. That we have to know for sure because when Michael says that, she's kind of like, yeah. But I think David was lying to her just like he was lying to Michael.
When we found out that Max was the head vampire, and then you said she comes at you with the secret that David was protecting. He's like, yep. And then he's like, but you passed the test. Don't ever invite a vampire into your house, you silly boy.
It renders you powerless. And he's like,
did you know that?
Of course. Everybody knows that. Nah, they didn't know that.
And then when he turns around and goes, I still want you, Lucy.
Oh, man, he looked fucking awesome.
And he did. And then, of course, Michael.
Still haven't changed my mind about that.
And then Michael drops down.
I didn't invite you this time, Max.
And then but you see, you hear his voice?
I
didn't invite you this time,
because he's
Max.
supposed to be like all angry and he's an animal now. He's like a monster.
And Max turns around and laughs because he's
I love
how
the
he
way
laughs.
his voice sounds with that echoey.
Well, the reason he laughs is because he's like, look at you.
Yeah, he
kind of like proud, like look at you.
Well, I think he's laughing because he doesn't think he could take him. He's like, you don't know, because Michael runs right up to him and he grabs him by the head and fucking throws him across the room.
He takes him and throws him.
Yeah, he's like laughing, like, what are you got something for me? He's like, you're fucking no match for me.
But I also felt like when he turns around and he looks and he laughs, he laughs. Because again, it's like, oh, look, you turned finally. Like,
because he didn't see him and now he's seeing him for the first time. Like, it worked,
Like, fine, look at you.
And I think Max thinks that. Max thinks that once Michael's turned, like now he's like, I win. And then,
but it's not that they don't have. He didn't have the mindset like David did or the other boys. No. Michael didn't want to be a vampire.
No,
the other boys were like, yeah, this is fucking great. Yeah. Like Michael was like, no, I don't want to do this.
But if it wasn't for the help of his brother, and that's like one of the metaphors in the movie is like family and stuff, and how young boys don't want to get older and they just want to stay young and fuck around and be assholes and stuff like that. But Michael wanted to grow up. Like the whole Neverland and Lost Boys connection with like Peter Pan is Michael wanted to grow up. Yeah. Michael didn't want to live. Like, he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to be young forever. Well, kill people. Yeah, but that's what it was exactly.
Yeah,
he didn't want to be a murderer. He didn't want to do that. Like his mom, he was losing the connection with his family, and his dad left his mom. Like they got divorced, and there's a new life for them. There's a lot of shit. There's a lot of things to get used to, and there's a lot of frustrations and angst and everything. Plus, he's a teenager and he wants to get laid and this and that. So there's a lot of stuff there, and it's the metaphor for all that.
And then you got the grandfather that comes in and saves the day. With those fucking...
Well, let's not forget when, after he throws Michael through the fucking wall and everything, the Frog Brothers go to attack him, and he grabs the stick and he throws them away. And remember, he grabs Sam. and he's holding on to Sam.
Yes.
And he tells Lucy, he reaches out.
He reaches out with
like,
his fucking long ass fingernails, perfect manicure.
And I like how cool it was because it was like old school Dracula with the organ music, and the feel of the whole movie with the music and the mood and everything. Yeah. I thought it was so fucking cool because he was like Dracula.
He was like Dracula. He wasn't. If you think about it, yeah.
That's what I mean.
Even like the way he looked, he was tall. Yeah. His face was long,
and he had that like old look to his face with those like white looking eyes.
Yep.
And the long, skinny, like Nosferatu kind of fingers and stuff like that.
The fingernails.
When he holds his hand out. It reminded me like Nosferatu, like if you ever seen it, you know, his fingernails. But remember, what's it called? Fright Night.
Yes.
Remember Jerry Dandridge in the movie? Chris Sarandon. His fucking hands when he turned. Remember how they were all long and fucking lanky and shit like that? I thought that was another really cool fucking vampire movie too. But
not as good as Lost Boys.
No, nothing. We said at the beginning of the show, there's nothing better than Lost Boys.
No.
Couple of movies are up there with Lost Boys, but I mean, nothing touches it in my opinion, never.
No.
If that's because I saw it when I was 7, then fuck it, I don't care. But it's still a fantastic movie.
But now you have the grandfather. After he's about to bite Lucy, you hear that horn, and then he comes in. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, like cucaracha. Yeah. And then Michael wakes up from it too because it's like that horn, like basically like startled him.
Yeah.
He wakes up really weird, and then he jumps up and then jumps down.
He jumps
and
off the
pushes
thing,
Max into
right in
it,
front of the spike,
right into the spike, and then he blows up.
Yeah, he exactly.
And the funny thing is, after he dies, they're all like celebrating because Michael turns back. Star's okay. Laddie's okay.
I like how Michael gets up. Is everybody okay?
Is everybody okay? And then Laddie's like, Star. He's back to normal.
Yep.
Which again makes everybody think they did drink Max's blood.
Yeah, exactly. Okay? It has to be Max's blood.
It has to be Max's blood.
Yeah.
So then after that, fucking Corey Feldman with the whole, how much you think we should charge him for this?
Yeah, like this is all them that did this. Yeah.
Fucking retards.
They did help a lot. I mean, without them, a lot of this stuff wouldn't have been possible.
And then the grandfather nonchalantly goes into the den, opens up the fucking fridge, and he starts drinking his root beer.
And they're all like
Dad, and he's like, and then
Dad,
and then
one thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
And their faces at the end,
they were all like, are you fucking
kidding me? He knew all this time.
He knew all this time.
And I think that's the end of the movie.
That is obviously the end of the movie.
But one thing, like we pointed out, was what Edgar Frog says about how vampires die. You notice that David is the only one that didn't. He went quietly. He's the only one. But Edgar does say sometimes they do that.
Yeah.
But David didn't. He went quietly. He didn't explode. But everybody else did. Even Max. So it's easy.
Well, Max exploded huge.
Yeah, exactly. Big ball of fire and everything. Well, he was big time. He was, he's the boss. So he's gonna go out.
He's gonna go.
He's not gonna pull any punches.
You wonder after he dies, like what happens to his video shop and all that shit.
I guess it's abandoned. I mean, that's it. No one's
quit his job.
No one's gonna be there anymore. So I guess I don't know.
Unless Lucy takes it over.
I don't care about that.
He sold it to me.
Yeah, it was a handshake agreement.
She reaped his benefits.
Yeah. But like David, it's easy to say he could have survived,
which he did in the comic. Because again, if you read the comics, he did.
Because in the movie, if Max is obviously the head vampire, so David gets impaled and he's okay. He doesn't die, but he's kind of faking for his moment probably, but it doesn't happen because Max bites it. So now since Max dies and Star, Laddie, and Michael turn back, obviously so does David.
Yeah.
So David's human, but he's got antlers in his chest.
Yeah.
It didn't pierce his heart. He makes it. He survives that whole thing.
Because in the comic, again, if somebody listens to this and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comic, I could have sworn he makes a deal with the Widow Johnson and she turns him again.
I don't remember.
It's something along those lines. I know he has something to do with the Widow Johnson.
Okay. Well, I don't want to talk about it unless we know for sure. So
yeah,
maybe
we'll do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try to look for them and see if I can get them.
Well, we'll do an update on the show. We'll go back and we'll talk about the sequels to Lost Boys. We'll do like a Lost Boys 1.5, and we'll talk about the rest of it.
Because we can go through timeline and talk about.
We can talk about anything we want.
Yeah, that's great.
Any decade. Well, since this does have a connection to a movie from the 80s, I think it's still acceptable.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter. We do what we want. This is our podcast, so fuck everybody.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's so many. I wish the sequels would have been better. I would have liked to have seen more.
I would have liked to see more of David.
A lot of these guys, but they got really big. A lot of these guys moved on to do.
Kiefer
You know
Sutherland
what happens? Sometimes
Jason Patrick
was in Speed. Like he did more shit after this, but he didn't turn out to be a megastar. Obviously,
Speed 2 didn't do as well as they'd hoped because they couldn't replace Keanu.
But regardless of that, my point is, a lot of times these actors move on to bigger things, and they think things like this are kind of beneath them. They don't want to take a step backwards because Lost Boys was so important to their career, building it going forward.
Yeah.
That if you do another movie in like 1995, 1994, is it going to be the same? Like, do you want to risk having a script like the one, like the second one did? Like, do you want to make sure it's the right thing to do? You don't want to fuck anything up. So a lot of times these guys won't go back and do another sequel. But nowadays, what you're seeing is a lot of revamps, a lot of rebooting, a lot of remakes, and a lot of sequels happening because of shows like this. People are able, they have a voice, and the popularity of their childhood stuff is just as relevant now as it was back then when they were kids. So you're seeing a reemergence of a lot of older actors and movies and films and TV shows and whatnot coming up now when they're doing sequels, revamps, like I just said, all kinds of different stuff where things from our past are becoming relevant again. So like if they were going to do a true sequel, like a real good one, now would be the time to do it because of how popular those things are. But as far as the cast goes and putting together the right thing, I don't know how you do that.
It's going to be tough. I mean, you got to think of it now because now, listen, even if someone was sitting in the living room, one of like a big time director, or whoever was sitting in the living room right now thinking about, I wonder what if we could ever do like a Lost Boys thing again, and but instead of making it a fuckery and just do it right, instead of putting it direct to DVD, dude, Corey Haim is gone, so you really can't do that.
I know.
The grandfather's gone.
Yeah.
Edward Herman. Yeah, obviously you can't do Edward Herman because he's dead anyway. His character's dead anyway.
Same thing with Bernard Hughes. It's safe to say that Grandpa, he was old back then, so he's probably gone too.
He definitely is gone. We spoke about that. He's dead.
But I mean in the movie wise, like in the film, Grandpa the character is dead.
Unless
he's a vampire. What I had alluded to earlier was the fact that in the comics, the Widow Johnson is actually the true head vampire, and Max made the boys, and since Max is dead, those guys died, but the Widow Johnson's the real, like the puppeteer in this whole thing. And Grandpa, since he has this relationship with this Widow Johnson that no one really knows about, Grandpa's kind of like the Renfield of, he's the gopher guy, he's the bitch of the head vampire who is not going to be a full vampire, or either he is or isn't, whatever it is. But Grandpa's involved with the Widow Johnson, and his probably had something to do with Max knowing that Lucy was coming to town with her kids, and therefore Max was able to formulate this plan of getting another family involved and kind of taking over this whole neighborhood, so to speak, with all these vampires. And it's probably the Widow Johnson who's like the one who's planning all this stuff and who's responsible for everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's just a it's just an idea. It's just a cool little
I mean, we can go on and talk about,
and that's why Grandpa knows all about the vampires and didn't fucking move, because he's one of them. You know what I mean? Didn't seem to be bothered by it at all.
No, of course not. I think that we definitely have to do an episode for 1.5.
Yeah,
like a Lost Boys 1.5 for sure.
We'll look up the comics and then we'll talk back. If any of you guys know anything about the comics, feel free to leave it in the comments after we post about this, or contact us in the future and and explain to us what we don't know. Maybe somebody out there knows about it or can read it before we get a chance to, and can give us a little bit of information and some background on that, and will help us out.
I'm going to have to do some editing on this. Hopefully we can release this next week. And I just want to thank everybody again for listening. We're going to wrap this episode up.
Yep.
I had a lot of fun doing this episode.
It's a pleasure. I'm so it's crazy because there's so much to talk about, and I can sit here for hours and hours and just go back and talk about the same scenes over and over and over again, and what we love and what we don't love. And I know we rambled on about this, but this is my favorite movie of all time, and I always enjoy watching it, and I introduced this movie to my kids and everything, so it means something to me. It means something for my childhood, and it has a lot to do with who I am as an adult too. I mean, just like all the movies we watch when we're kids, and that's why we love the 80s, because it was the best decade of all time.
Since we're going to wrap this up, I just want to mention that we are on Patreon.
Yeah.
I hope I'm saying that right. Patreon. We have a few memberships that we can actually give out, and if you guys donate, we really do appreciate it. It would help with some cost of, equipment for this, running the Instagram constantly with doing the content and stuff like that. So anything that you can actually help donate, we really do appreciate, and subscribe. You will be getting some cool things in the long run. The newsletter is coming out. I've made some stories about that on 80s Cinemas, where I'm actually trying to look for someone that wants to send an 80s picture and to every month actually send an 80s picture in and just give a few sentences about, describe themselves in that picture from the 80s. I think it's just a cool segment.
Yeah.
And don't forget to follow the Instagram at Timeline, the official podcast. Dude, we're at almost 130 followers already, and we've been promoting the shit out of this account.
I know, yeah.
So I got to put one on Twitter. I'm going to put it on Facebook, make a whole separate Facebook for that. And I just really do want to thank everybody for following and just being really supportive with this and being patient, because we're brand new to this game.
Yep.
So it's just...
And we're going to continue to get better and better, and the shows are going to get better. And as long as it's a subject we like talking about, we're definitely going to talk about it. And as always, if you guys have any questions or comments or suggestions, feel free. And I hope you enjoy our future work, and I hope you enjoy this episode, because we had a lot of fun making it.
Yeah, we did, man. So until next time,
see you later.
Later, guys.
The last fire will rise behind those eyes. Black house.